You're a lifesaver, Doctor.
If you make it through this war, then come and thank me. But I would appreciate something. I would like you to send me the data on your next performance in battle.
Sometimes it's best not knowing why people want you to survive.
I suppose so. Well, Amuro, I have faith in you and your instincts with Gundam.
Damn!
Welcome back, everybody, to episode 15 of Gundam and MAHQ. In this episode, we're going to be covering, we're going to be returning back to doing some reviews. This on season 2 of Code Geass, Lelouch of the Rebellion, episodes 1 through 4. Quick overviews, kind of our thoughts and takes on some of the things that have happened in the highly anticipated season 2 there. And we're going to only be doing 2 topics this episode, and the last topic is going to be the ongoing topic of the Gundam Round-up, which we are now covering Gundam Zeta. So before we do anything, I'm going to get off with a little bit of news here. And I know that we've been talking about this for a while, that the Gundam 00 is being released in Blu-ray in Japan. And this would actually probably be good for somebody like Solbro, who likes all these little extras on there. But they're going to be having
I do.
audio commentaries on episode 1 on volume 1 of the Blu-ray disc, and on episode 5 on volume 2. And basically it's going to be cast commentaries and some staff commentaries on there. So
Awesome.
And there's going to be some other yet to be announced staff commentaries for some of the other ones. And from what I take here, it's actually kind of a rare thing for Gundam releases, the audio commentaries. But I guess they had them for the first and final episode of Gundam X and the DVD memorial box. And I guess on one of the episodes of 08th MF's team, they had one, and 2 of 0083.
As well as the U.S. release of F91.
Yeah, definitely check those out. Hopefully, if this stuff ever gets over to the States with subtitles, I'm sure they'll have that stuff on there also. So,
well, F91 could use some explaining, so I could see the necessity of that.
I'm glad they put it on. 0083 too, because that needed some explaining too. But some more Gundam 00 news. There's going to be a prequel drama CD that's been announced. It's going to be called Mission 2306, Mobile Suit Gundam 00, Another Story, and it's going to be released July 23rd. And basically, the story has been given as this: Celestial being, a private army organization that conducts military operations without regard to race, country, or religion toward the world of strife. A new mission is given to Gundam Meister from Celestial Being Setsuna F-Se to prevent the assassination of Barry Harvley, the leader of the fossil fuel export regulation watchdog group.
Nice.
As part of the mission, he's responsible for guard and surveillance to ensure no harm comes to Harvley's beloved daughter Louise from the terrorist organizations. But there are people in high school with 1 or 2 peculiarities beyond Setsuna's imagining: a love triangle, possibly, a perverted teacher. Can Setsuna safely guard the important individual while dealing with these? So,
right on.
Yeah.
Enter all of the, even more of the Fullmetal Panic comparisons.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
And I guess some of the people that are going to be, the cast that's going to be in this drama CD is going to include, like I said, Setsuna. Lock-On will make a thing.
Right on.
Alleluia and Hallelujah will show up. Tierra Sumeragi will be in there, plus Graham Aker, Billy Katagiri, Solbro, Saji Crossroad, and Luis Harvley. So,
What about Howard Mason?
Oh, man. Tell me he made it.
I think that they said they don't have all the information here, so maybe he'll show up later on, or maybe in a future mission.
Backed by popular demand.
Yes. So, and there's just kind of a side edit note here that it's possible that this story is more of a parody than a straight prequel. So some of this stuff just kind of take with a grain of salt, I guess, till we get more information. And I guess there's some commentary on some posters that the Japanese don't know what's going on either. So they're kind of in the dark of the same. So, But next news item. This is something I think is going to put some a smile to a few people's faces. It's been reported on ANN and Anime on DVD that Bandai Visual is to be liquidated and its assets to be transferred to Bandai Entertainment.
Oh no!
So,
Is that only for the U.S. branch, or is that for
The U.S. branch.
yeah, it's the U.S. branch. So I get there's no information on when this is going to begin or how this is going to affect any timetables or releases or anything like that. But
It's going to begin in starting in July, they said.
okay.
And then by September, it'll be fully liquidated and merged.
Okay.
Wow, Wings
So-
Arena will be affordable.
Yeah.
Well, we don't know anything about. Well,
I'm just
I would hope that Bandai Entertainment prices and
Yeah.
keeps continuing to release these titles because
Definitely.
I would like to have reasonably priced Blu-rays of MS Igloo, and
Mhm.
I would like to get,
Yeah.
even though so many people hate it, I would love to have Super Robot Wars TV show in maybe less than 9 volumes and not costing $50 each. So little fire sale would be nice because I didn't waste my money on that like some people did. Peter.
Oh, Pete. Oh, I'm sorry, Petey.
But we'll definitely have more information as we get it. And, yeah, like Chris said, definitely check out things and, see if there's – I'm sure there's going to be a run on some of the Bandai Visual merchandise later on
But
in a couple months here.
by the way, I don't mean to kick a person or a company when they're down, but in the case of Bandai Visual, I kind of make an exception because they just did everything so wrong, and
Yeah.
whatever it is that led to this decision to incorporate them into Bandai Entertainment, they brought it onto themselves
That they did.
for entering the American market, having no idea what it is that American fans want, and then stubbornly insisting on charging Japanese prices for products and just not doing things the right way that the rest of the industry does. So,
Not even making an attempt to localize any products they're putting
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
it's just another example of a Japanese company thinking that they can do business in America the Japanese way and not realizing that this is not Japan and you have to adapt your business for every market in the world. I mean, anybody in any business class will tell you that.
It's the first
But
rule.
obviously, these companies like Bandai and Toei and everybody else, they didn't learn that lesson yet. Maybe this time they will. So
Well, it's definitely a lot of changes going on in the DVD industry. So I'm sure we'll have more news as we get it on that. But I guess for all the model fans out there, there's going to be some new Seed Master Grades coming in the fall.
ooh, tell me more.
There was an announcement at the end of the Phase Impulse MG Edition video that says a new Gundam Seed MG kit will be coming in the fall. Though the actual MS name isn't given, the background color scheme of the announcement strongly suggests that one of Atherin's mobile suits, with the forerunner on the Japanese boards being the Infinite Justice. So
Oh, I thought it was gonna be the Savior.
Oh,
I wish, I would like the Aegis
Not
because
bad.
it was transforming. I kind of like.
yeah, but so was the Savior.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all it did. That's all he did in that thing.
Hey, just because he sucked at using it didn't mean it was an awesome mobile suit, because it was.
Oh, I know it's awesome.
It
No,
was
it was an
dope.
awesome mobile suit.
That transformation.
He's just Mr. Transformation spammer.
Oh, he was Mr. Transformation Spammer.
that spin.
Oh.
That was awesome.
Anyway,
And it's got to be one. It's got to be one of the few ones that actually kind of like survived, but they never retrofitted it to be used again.
Just straight
I
up
mean, it was.
Face
you know,
it up.
I don't think they. I think they didn't fix it not because Kira sliced it up and just left a torso, but because Atherin just probably screwed up the gears from pressing the transformation button so much.
Nah.
Oh,
Nice.
he ground him too much.
Killed the transmission.
Yeah.
He just totally ground those gears to pieces by pressing that transformation so much.
So
Anyway,
we'll definitely keep you abreast of that. For all you model fans, definitely check out your favorite sites to see what that might be. And in some game news, as we always pander a lot of these Gundam games, the Gundam Battle Universe. If you go to their site, they put up some screenshots. I haven't had a chance to actually take a look at it yet, but definitely, if you're interested in the game, definitely take a look there. And I guess the first MS Igloo 2 promo video is up, and it's in 2 versions, the regular and UC hard graph. The difference is pretty much limited to overlaying text. So I guess the official MS Igloo 2 site also has a downloadable 2-sided flyer. I don't know what you would use that for, just to download.
for kicks.
I don't know. So, but
Hey, these 1 Year War fans, you don't know what they do.
but but definitely check that out if you're wanting some information on Igloo. Once again, this stuff will all be in Japanese, but I guess you could try to figure it out, or if you know it, you could read it. But
There's always Rosetta Stone.
yes. But in just a couple other news items here, I guess since this is an Olympic year, there is a 4-meter tall Gundam statue being used to display a good luck message to Olympic gold medalist Mizuki Noguchi. I guess he's a marathoner for Japan.
And
so
apparently a Gundam fan, hopefully.
well, so that I thought that was kind of interesting, kind of one of those WTF type of articles here. And this is actually for Chris. I actually, if you go to GoNoda, where all these news stories are usually courtesy of, they have a link to what the 00 Volume 6 DVD cover is going to look like. Uh-oh. And it's got Chris's favorite character from 00.
Who?
Who would that be, Chris?
I don't know. You tell me.
It's your boy Alejandro in ribbons.
Oh.
Alejandro looking all creepy, looking back to a ribbons, just kind of looking off. So
Put that cover in the frame.
yeah. Hopefully this cover makes the American release.
Oh, Jesus.
See, if you told me the cover was, say, Sumeragi, then be something.
Sumeragi and Felt at the beach.
Oh, and Christina, too, just for the hell of it.
Right on,
yeah,
man.
yeah, exactly.
And Wang, just for kicks.
Because her name is funny. Her name is Wang, but last little thing here, and anybody that has the opportunity to go to Anime Expo this year,
Not me.
they announced the guest of honor is going to be Toshihiko Sakai, who's the voice actor for Dual Maxwell in Gundam Wing.
Oh,
he was
no.
also Rolla Crusade in Gundam Seed, and a big stretch here, right? Zabriel in Gundam Seed Destiny.
Nice.
So, anybody going to that con this year, definitely check it out. I guess if there's any information that you need or the date that this person's going to be there, definitely go to the Anime Expo website. So, and like I said earlier, all these stories are courtesy of the fine folks at Ganoda or Ganada, and myself, Neo, Chris, and Soulbro will be back in a little bit to cover.
Oh, but wait, there's one more bit of news that you don't have.
Some
breaking news.
Oh, breaking news. I'm sorry. We just
breaking news.
Okay.
Hot off the presses.
We just got this in from the South Florida office of Gundam. There's some breaking news. Here's our roving reporter, Chris.
Okay, so we all know that 00 got licensed, and that Bandai was sort of talking vaguely about there being a possible TV deal, which they're saying is still something they're working on, but they can't say anything yet. However, there was the accidental leak and now confirmation that Gurren Lagann is going to be showing up on the Sci-Fi Channel. So
wow.
I think that pigs are officially flying now.
Oh, nice.
Wow.
And maybe finally Bandai's will give the middle finger to Adult Swim and start putting some stuff on Sci-Fi. So who knows? We could see 00 on the Sci-Fi Channel.
I hope so.
Which I think would probably make a lot more sense at this point.
It make a whole lot more sense.
I don't know how their anime stuff on Monday does.
I'll watch with Gurren Lagann on.
Yeah, I mean, I watch a lot of it, but a lot of times it is the Street Fighter Alpha series, so I can't really watch that.
They're showing Macross Plus now, so
hey. They show Macross Plus like 1,000 times. So.
I know they show Macross Plus.
They got some credit now.
But no, that'll be cool because that'll kind of bring back the old days of sci-fi also. Yeah. So I think at this point with Adult Swim that might be a good thing to do, because if you can show that they're not the only game in town, they may start kind of taking the anime shows a lot more seriously, especially. I don't know if they can survive with all those substandard comedy shows too much longer.
Well, on top of that, Sci-Fi treats it differently too, and they probably have a lot more respect for the art form than Adult Swim has.
Sci-Fi's got deeper pockets too.
Yeah,
it's NBC.
Yeah, you're right.
So, well, I did not know that. That's we will definitely be holding our breaths on that. Hopefully that'll happen. It'd be nice to see 00 on television. So, but that's it.
And that is all for my news. So.
All right. Well, along with myself, Neo, Chris, and Soulbro, we're going to be doing episode 15 here, and we'll be back in a little bit. You're listening to Gundam at MAHQ.
The gun.
Damn robots, John!
Hey, this is Soul Bro Ryu, and I know what you're thinking. What the hell happened to 14? If we're listening to episode 15, did we miss 14? You did miss 14. The only one missed it is me. I made a grave mistake when transferring some files, and some segments of 14 were pretty much destroyed. I went ahead, though, and took the surviving segment, which is the Zeta Gundam segment, and moved it to the first segment, which is coming up next. And for the remainder of this explanation, please stay tuned to after the end of the podcast, right after the Shinjuku Station and MAHQ sound off, and I'll get into more about what happened and how we plan to make it up. I deeply, 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 deeply apologize for this, and it seems like no matter how much we try, the 00 segment will never come into fruition. And what's funny is this time it's 100% my fault, no one else's. So if you need to cast any stones, please hit me up on the MAHQ boards, or please email me at sbrmahq@gmail.com and send the hate, please, I deserve it. And getting back on track, here's the next segment.
Damn it! I hate it!
Welcome back to the show that exhibits more proof than Jack Daniels. That's right, Gundam at MAHQ. And in this... You should see Neo. He's covering the mic. But in this segment, we're going to be doing more of our review of all the Gundam series.
Gundam Spotlight.
Our Gundam Spotlight, our rundown of every Gundam series. In this segment, we're going to be talking about the second Gundam series to be produced, and that would be Mobile Suit Zeta Gundam. It premiered in 1985, which is well over 20 years ago, and still watching it today, it still stands true to the test of time. Some of the look at this.
What about the Tears of Time?
Oh yeah, that's right. The Tears of Time.
That was nice.
Say that every episode. For those who haven't seen the show, at the end of every episode, there's like this little tagline. What's it fully?
You will see the Tears of Time.
You will see the Tears of Time. It's like, that kills me every time. I'm going to use that at the end of the show one time. But but the show still stands, holds up even after all these years, and even more so in the remakes that were made just a few years ago as well. Kind of a retread, or a new translation, as this tagline of the 3 Zeta movies that came out just a few years ago in theaters in Japan. Directed by Yoshiyuki Tomino, of course. It still looks great, and to me, it's more of a perfected version of Mobile Suit Gundam, the original series, because it got to run its full course, and we got a full insight on new types and the phenomenon behind them, and a lot more characters were realized during the run of that series. And this is our thoughts and our opinions on this series, and of course the 3 movies that have just come out recently. Chris, what is your take on Zeta Gundam?
Well, obviously, as it's known to anyone and everyone, Zeta Gundam is my favorite Gundam TV show of all time. Mm-hmm. And it was one of the earliest ones that I saw, so that may be in part due to that, but I had seen it pretty soon after seeing the Gundam trilogy, and there's a lot of things I like about it that it does well. There's some things I don't. One thing that it does do well is managing 2 casts, and I'm looking at you, Destiny, because you managed to have, with Zeta, the old cast from the original Gundam mixing very well with the new cast of Zeta, but it was always clear at any given time that the show was about Camille Bidan and not about Amuro Ray or Char Aznavour.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There was never any doubt about that, as it is with Destiny, where after a while you wonder what the hell is going on. And what I liked about the way they brought back the original cast is you saw how they developed over the course of 7 years. You saw Bright and Mirai, settle down and start a family. You saw Hayato and Frau settle down and have a family. You saw that Kai, who never wanted to be a soldier to begin with, got out of the military and became a journalist. You saw Sayla doing whatever it is that she was doing on vacation. And, most importantly, you saw that Amuro, for all of his courage and all of his amazing accomplishments in the 1 Year War was rewarded with suspicion and fear, and basically was locked up for 7 years.
Yeah. Good old house arrest.
Yeah, so, it was nice to see the development of all of these characters move along, and some of them settling into familiar roles, like Bright as captain of the Argama, Hayato, and then, now as a resistance leader, Kai as a journalist, Mirai going from being the mother of White Base to actual mother, trying to protect her children.
Frau Bo becoming the expected mother, and also the mother of the 3 orphans from the White Base as well.
Yeah, and another thing that works well in this respect is the way they took Char and worked with his character, because obviously he was one of the major characters from the original series, but the entire focus wasn't on him in the original series, so shifting more focus to him in Zeta was good because you got to see more about him. Plus, see him in a different light as situations change. He was once the antagonist, but now he's one of the protagonists.
And he's just kind of he's, instead of trying to control his destiny and being an aggressive character, he's kind of laid back and subdued and just haunted. That's the thing about Quattro that gets me, is that he's a very haunted character, because of the events that happened in the 1 Year War, and even the unseen events that we don't know about, like the Char's deleted affair, the whole thing with him and Haman, and the things we don't know about at the beginning of Zeta. But he's just a very torn guy, and it's nice to see him come back into the spotlight and find his purpose in this series too, which I thought was another excellent reason to watch the show.
And he's sort of an unlikely mentor to Camille, and finds himself being an even more unlikely ally with Amuro.
And the mentoring part's pretty cool, because he's actually not really mentoring him. He starts off by mentoring him as a pilot, but then you can see towards the show that he's doing it to help Camille not make the same mistakes that he did in his past.
Very much so.
So
especially when it comes to Camille and 4, and when he realizes the connection between the two of them, and realizes it's going to head down the same tragic path, he wants to put a stop to it himself, and kind of do Camille a favor by doing the hard thing, which would be to take her out. And even Amuro saw that connection too in Hong Kong when Camille first met 4 too.
Yet unfortunately, the same thing happens, and it ends up going even worse for Camille, since as we see in the TV show, after 4's death, he sort of starts to go on a downward spiral, and starts to become much more of a pessimist, which is something even Bright mentions to him. He's like, well, when did you become such a pessimist? Like in the 40s. Another thing I thought it did well was manage character development with action, because back in these days, in these robot shows, you had battles every single episode. That's just the way it was, because these things were toy commercials. But Zeta, I think, managed to mix well, the battles, even if they were brief, with character development in the same episode, which hasn't been done so well in some later series. Another thing, it's a bit more epic than the original series in certain parts, because you get a wider sense of the scale, and you have a greater focus on politics than in the original series, which was there because you had all of the scheming of the Zabi family, but even that was kind of in the background compared to Amuro fighting the Monster of the Week, which is another thing. In MSG, you had a lot of Monsters of the Week with some Xeon guy like, with this new mobile suit / mobile armor, I will surely take down the Gundam. Or all of the tiresome Gattai sequences with that disgusting G-Fighter.
Yeah. Oh, shoot.
And, all of these nameless pilots coming in waves. Some people argue that Zeta is also Monster of the Week, but it really isn't, because, Jared goes through a ton of mobile suits, but it's always Jared. It's not like,
exactly.
Johnny and Joey and, whoever, like, random Pilot X who shows up for 5 minutes and dies, like that guy in the Zaccarello.
Dies, exactly.
So,
but even on top of that, you sometimes have other antagonists that are kind of lower tier that show up multiple times, like Mila. You see her like at least twice, and she is an antagonist for like 2 episodes before her end. And they don't really like it. She's in the same mech and everything, and she's an aggressor for a short period. You get these characters that are not so much a monster of the week, but a monster of an arc. And you got that. They confront them and fight them and take them out. 4 was one of them, and it kind of broke up the formula into turning what was the norm into more of a well thought out piece of story and fleshing it out and fleshing out the characters and giving us more conflict. And I think, like I said, Zeta took what Mobile Suit Gundam had and perfected it. It really did.
That being said, there also are some things about the show great. Number one, cats.
Oh my God.
Not only was he an annoying whiner, but after a while you say to yourself, damn, isn't somebody going to put a freaking like lock on the G defensor?
Yeah.
It's like every damn week this guy's stealing it. He just walks to me, he's like, yeah, I've got orders for a mission. And they're like, okay. And then he starts launching, and Bright's like, why the hell's the G defensor launching? Like, oh, but Kotz said he had special orders, didn't he?
No. I'm the captain.
And you believe that?
And even when they try to stop him, he always manages to steal the damn thing and go do his stupid interference.
Jeez. I was like, I swear, when he stole the Mark II in San Francisco,
Oh God.
I was hoping he'd get the beatdown of his life. He should have.
Well, what's funny is the thing with Cats is that, Camille was kind of like that in the beginning, like very impulsive and kind of reckless, but he learned his lessons and he grew up and sort of was a mentor for Kotz himself.
Yeah.
But throughout the entire series, Kotz never learned that lesson.
He never learned it. He thought he was invincible.
He was just an arrogant, reckless little dumbass. And then when the end came for him,
It wasn't even ceremonious. It was like, it was matter of fact. It was.
Well,
It's
the thing that
I don't recall where I read this, but somebody said that when Kotz died, that he forgot that he wasn't the main character.
Oh, that's appropriate.
Yeah.
Well, the problem that I had is they always seemed like they were tougher on Camille when he was doing those stupid little things than they were with Kotz. It seemed, oh, well, he's just Kotz. Kotz is Kotz. It's no big deal. It's like, Bright's beating up dudes on the bridge and stuff, but he would never do anything
To Kotz,
with Kotz.
Or even Wang. You never saw, Kotz get his ass kicked by set him on the right path, because it did for Camille.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or put him under house arrest or something. They never even locked him in his room.
Well, you know what, though?
They did once.
Yeah, Kotz was put in the brig. Yeah, I remember that.
They told him to sit in the Seiza position for punishment.
Oh, that's right. When the thing was Sarah. Yeah.
Exactly. But the thing about Kotz, though, compared to Camille, is that Camille did have moments where he would become a whiny bastard, and Kotz was always a go-getter. He was always willing to go out there and do the job. Even
I
stupid,
don't know about that.
Camille had reason to complain about things. He had both of his parents killed in front of him.
Yeah.
He did.
The Titans have been messing with him.
Very true.
All this stuff
Very
happens.
true.
Kotz, he has his family, his adopted family. He's got everything. He's a crappy pilot.
Yeah.
Right.
And he just completely acts on impulse, and he just doesn't understand things. It becomes especially apparent when they start courting him on for an alliance, and he's like, I can't work with the Zeon, and he's like, I won't help fight
true.
with the Zeon, and he just does not get the big picture, and he just is too stupid to understand that yes, the Zeon were the villains, but in politics and in war, you have to sometimes make a deal with the devil to get done what you want to do.
That's true, but
yeah,
if you look at it,
I couldn't keep up with the thing too, where they just always kept giving him equal voice on things.
Yeah.
And because his interference got people killed,
Yeah.
it screwed up missions and everything. And my roommate will say the funniest thing is there's a part in there where they're on the bridge and they want to dispatch some mobile suits, and Bright finally just goes, all right, put Kotz in there. They're like, and I think it's Sir Gooser or one of those guys. It's like Torres, and he's like, oh, don't you mean Fa? He's like, no, I mean Kotz. And my roommate says to it, he goes, I swear to God, Bright was trying to get him killed at that point. he wanted him to go out there because he would have got killed, but he was such an insufferable character that I'm in total agreement with you, Chris. He is one of the most glaring negatives in that show.
But there are some more to a lesser degree. Shinta and Kum,
Yeah.
most annoying kid mascots ever.
Yeah.
It's like I don't even know why they were brought into this show. Why did Char bring these two little homeless kids from Dakar up to a battleship?
Because I guess the argument was missing. The argument was missing their orphans. Because that's
I guess Haro needed someone to play with.
Hey man, the white base had some orphans, and I guess they had to continue the tradition.
It's
but these were annoying. The white base orphans, they were funny.
Yeah.
And endearing. These two are just stupid.
Ironically, Kotz being one of the white base orphans. For those who
I know.
and the white base orphans actually helped out a lot of times. I don't really remember Shinton and Kum doing too much to help out.
They never did. They were just nuisances.
What about Double Zeta when they
Hey, that's because everybody's dead or brain fried.
Yeah,
so what else?
Yeah, true.
There's not really much of a choice.
But, yeah.
At least they thankfully left the show at that point.
Yeah.
Another thing, not so much a negative for me, but just something I wish had been done a little bit differently is the very long-term absences of some characters.
Yeah.
Like Bask disappears for 30-something episodes.
Jesus.
Rosamia disappears for 30-something episodes.
Oh, over half the show gone.
Yeah, it's you have no idea what's up with them. Like Bask, I think the last time he had been shown was episode 13,
Goodness.
right when they were in that Earth arc, and then he doesn't come back until episode 39.
Yeah.
But what the hell's he been up to all this time? So that's something. Rosamia would have been nice to see her again at some point in the middle of the show.
It'd have been nice to see less of a Jamaican.
Well, he got what he deserved.
Oh, he sure did. That was awesome too. Payback for when they beat down Bright. That's inexcusable.
So those are the things that I didn't like about Zeta. Just a few annoying characters and some being gone very long term. What about you guys? Likes and dislikes on the TV show?
Well, my is the just the whole sense of despair within the whole show, and I always kind of put myself in the place of the Japanese person in 1985 when they watched this, because it must have been groundbreaking for a character like Char to become the good guy. And because, like you said, back in those days with the robot shows, there was always such a clear division between good and evil. And, you never really had you would have the switches in some of those super robot shows, but usually the guy would end up sacrificing himself or whatever.
Yeah.
But, just for that and the fact of that he is flat out Char, and you can tell it from the beginning that he is, but there's something different about him. The battles were great. The whole flow of the show, the whole flow of good versus evil, and then like you said, the gray area. I think it explored the gray area as much as it's a black and white show. The exploration of the gray area when it comes to alliances and whatever is shown a lot, especially. Like you were saying earlier, Chris, about the AUG's involvement with the Zeon, and and
in some senses the show is black and white because the Titans are very clearly evil.
Yeah.
But there's also some people in Titans who are evil, and you see that both sides are getting their hands dirty, trying to get the alliance and the influence of the Axis Zeon.
Yeah. So that's the great point. I love. Spoiler alert for everybody, but I'm sure if you're listening to this, you've already seen the show. But the way of the ending, on the show, he won, but he really didn't win.
It was
At
unforgiving.
the end. So
Yeah, it was a Pyrrhic victory.
yeah, pretty much. My biggest dislike is I agree wholeheartedly with the thing of Kotz. Best episode ever is when he died, and he should have actually died earlier when Sirocco almost killed him when Sarah got killed. He should have killed him at that point.
Since you brought up Kotz, and you brought up the whole fact that he just wasn't teaming up with the Zeon, I gotta give Kotz some credit.
No, you can't.
Well, no, for one thing, and that's because he was orphaned by the Zeon. And if you think about all those soldiers that were in, say, World War II, who to this day still can't forgive the enemies they fought against to this day, and we've this has been mad years, but they fought in that war, so that war is personal to them.
It's a different situation though.
Yeah, but he's a hypocrite then because he
Yeah.
has no problem fighting alongside with Char, and Char was a Zeon soldier.
That's
Exactly.
true.
Bright and Henkin were Federation soldiers, and they fought against the Zeon. They didn't have any problem.
Yeah.
Apolly and Roberto, they were Zeon soldiers. So
That's true.
if it's Zeon that he knows, that's okay.
Yeah.
But if it's other, if it's not, then he's against it. So
Yeah.
that makes it's a hypocrite.
Definitely.
Yeah, that does make him seem hypocritical, though. Then very true. Very true.
So I mean,
I guess I can't play devil's advocate and
there's nothing.
He's not your man, Cat.
Yeah.
Oh,
No.
stuff.
No, but my other and the whole thing of disappearing characters, but I'll actually put that one further. My biggest thing is I think there were a lot of minor and supporting characters that were not explored enough or killed off too early. And my two examples is first Lila.
Mm-hmm.
I think Lila should have been in there a lot longer than what she was.
Most definitely.
I think because that whole dynamic between her and Jared was actually very interesting. And then you put in what's her face, Mauer, later on, right before. But my other thing is in the episode about the speech at the car, when you're having the fight, when Camille and them are fighting the Titans outside of the assembly hall, and there's that guy that's the Ashimar pilot, and he's kind of saying, oh, well, maybe we should listen to this. The guy that Jared ended up killing.
Mm-hmm.
I think that
Addis Aziba.
Yeah. I think it would have been great instead of having him killed that he had kind of that change, kind of the Emma change, because he reminded me of like the male version of Emma Sheen when it came to who their loyalties were for.
An open-minded Titan.
And bring him up and have him, oh, wow, this guy actually defected.
Yeah.
And,
that might have been interesting. I was thinking that too.
Especially as a replacement for, minor pilots, because at that point there was no Roberto, and Opoly gets it a few episodes later, I believe. So
Speaking of disappearing characters, one that I forgot to mention because he disappears at the very end of the show, Gates Kappa. He's there for a few episodes, doing this whole experiment with Rosamia and Basque, and then suddenly he just disappears.
Yeah.
And you never see what happens to him.
Yeah, he's been gone since that point, and then he shows up again with Rosamia, I guess, along with Rosamia.
Well, no, he only appeared in that later arc with Rosamia for those last few episodes, but then during that battle, battle,
for the last few, but I mean, in between,
he's gone.
When Camille took out Rosamia, after that, it's like Gates Kappa just vanishes.
Yeah.
Very true.
But
you don't know whether he lived or died. It's like they forgot about him.
Yeah, but other than that, it's a pretty solid show. I mean, it is my favorite UC show. It's kind of in a tie there when it comes to my favorite Gundam of all time. But I mean, it's definitely a great show for even the minor little dislikes that we have. The ability and the storytelling in it was so strong that you don't really think of it too much, especially when you're, it's not one of those things when you're watching the show, you're like kind of sticks in your mind, except for Kotz. That's the only problem. But
anything else, Sobro?
Well, I'll try to make this short, but I guess I'll start with my dislikes. I didn't like how just like you guys brought up the Titans were just a bit too they were a bit too two-dimensional. They're just a bit too power hungry. I figured they'd have some kind of grand scheme, but all they wanted to do was just conquer and just might makes right, and that's pretty much all their philosophy was. That said, what else I didn't like? I didn't like the disappearing characters, and I didn't like that. Actually, those are probably my minor dislikes. The best thing I like about the show is just the dynamic of the characters together, the interactions, the conversations, the development of Camille was, I think, excellent. I mean, he just became the more and more proficient he became, the more and more disenchanted he became with the war and everything that was going on around him. And before you know it, it got to the point where he still cared, but he got to the point where he was starting to lose his mind, and you could see that. And you can see that towards the end of the show where everything was just getting to him, and I like the feeling of melancholy in that show. Although Tamino kind of he died. What's the word? He kind of regrets making the show so dark. I think that's one of the show's strongest, one of the show's strengths, and I think it's fantastic. But my favorite scene in the entire show, which I regret, bringing up the movies for a minute, I regret that he had to cut it out, was the speech at the car. and the whole scenario at Dakar, I thought was by far my favorite scene in the whole series, because Char finally stepped into the spotlight as Char, as opposed to hiding behind Quattro Vagina. And I think the speech and the scene and how everybody rallied together to make it happen was an excellent scene. And him and Amuro at the end sharing the drink was, there's just a perfect way to cap that episode off at the end. And I thought it was magnificent. And plus their interactions in the series and how they dealt with Lala's death, even after all this time. Amuro's reason as to why he didn't go back out into space is because he's afraid of actually, coming in contact with her. I mean, that's one of the reasons I kept him under house arrest. He could have left at any time, just like he finally did after Kotz convinced him. But, just fear of actually coming in contact with Lala again was one of those reasons, and I thought that was pretty cool. But
Speaking of the movies, might as well mention those. I know you guys had talked about them way back in episode 2 before even I joined the crew. But anything new to add? You guys maybe see the movies again since then? Have any new thoughts?
No, pretty much the same. I like I said earlier in the earlier episode, is the movies were great up until that end. I mean the most glaring. The two most glaring things in the movie trilogy was the omission of the speech of Dakar, and the way that Camille defeats Sirocco at the end, and he doesn't get the brain fry. So other than that, looked great. Some of the revamping of the order of events worked out and flowed a lot better. Yeah. There was definitely quite a few things in there. But other than that, it's still pretty unchanged. I still haven't seen him in a while, and I do want to go back and relook at him, since we've
third time's the charm.
Now done 2 reviews on him since. But yeah, but yeah, no, pretty much hold true. I mean, they're definite must watches, but I will warn everybody: don't watch those first before the series, because that I don't even know how that would screw you up, because
probably a lot.
Yeah, because that could possibly turn you off, to that series. So
yeah. They're not meant as I can't condone them as a substitute for the show at all.
Me neither.
It's kind of it's an alternative view of the show.
Yeah,
and but that the last 5 minutes of that movie, although I do like the alternate outcome of what happens to Camille and how he rides out that whole new type brain fry thing, how he just overcomes it, and just to see how triumphant he is, and his little romantic hug with Fa at the end.
I mean, the space humping.
Yeah, the space humping. But I kind of thought it cheapened everything that he went through, and I thought the kind of the more dramatic ending of him, the like I said, the pirate ending was just probably a bit more fitting for the tone of the series, and especially with that whole build-up with the big speech on the in the stage in the amphitheater, right beforehand. Oh, that's another great scene, by the way, for those that don't know. But let me stop talking, because I'll go on for another 30 minutes. But yeah, the movies are fine. It's just outside of the nice reanimated scenes and the alternative take, this show is still superior in every way.
Yeah, definitely. I recently watched the entire TV show again, and then followed it up by watching the movies. And some of the changes, like the way they changed some stuff in the first movie, it flows pretty well.
Yeah.
The second movie, unfortunately, suffers from that same syndrome as movie 2 of the original Gundam trilogy, that the editing is kind of choppy and everything starts moving a little too fast.
Yep. And
the transitions are a little rough. They're making changes that some of them, it's like, I don't even know why they made them. Like, for example, how they made Stephanie from Hong Kong Wong's daughter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, what did you need to do that for? Why couldn't she have just been the same, like, a helper who sympathizes with the AU? Why'd you have to go and make her Wong's daughter? That makes no sense.
That makes no sense at all.
I didn't like 4 being killed so early on.
Neither did I.
Because that's her later reappearance is an important thing with Camille.
And his development.
Overall, I didn't like the way that they punked Jared by cutting him down to being basically not much more than a grunt with a name.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah,
that's true.
Even at the end, when he gets killed by Camille, they have this great exchange in the TV show where they're fighting, and Jared's just like, I'm not around and killed as many people as you have, and I am the way I am because of you. But in the TV show, in the movie, it's like he jumps out, attacks Camille shoots him, throws him into the exploding radish. The end.
Yeah.
So he got nerfed.
Yeah, because that was a good exchange because that was kind of a slight, because Jared was chasing him the whole show and wanted to defeat him.
Yeah.
And to finally find out why he wanted to do it, and then to throw that stuff into Camille's face that you think I'm bad, you're just as bad as me. So.
And to some point, he had a point. To some degree, it did have a point.
No, he had a point. Not to some degree, to every degree.
Yeah, in retrospect, yeah.
To every degree.
Yeah, I didn't like the removal of Kilimanjaro and Dakar because those are my favorite parts of the show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same here.
They also removed the Rosamia arc, which, while I don't really mind it being gone, a lot of people complain about that arc, but I think it was important in showing lengths the Titans will go to accomplish their goals, that they'll take somebody and just completely destroy their mind, because by the end, you really feel sorry for Rosamia, even when, she's in the Psycho Mark II and Camille blasts her through the head to kill her, because she is just so insane, and they've just totally destroyed her as a person.
Yeah.
And on top of that, she was alive at the end of movie 1, and now she's dead, a ghost? What?
There is some precedent for that, because Camille appeared as a ghost for Judo at the end of Double Zeta, even though he was alive. But since they removed her significance from the story, there was no reason for her to appear at the end, so they really should have reanimated that part.
Yeah, very true. Yeah. Very true.
One thing I did like, based on her appearance and the editing they did do for movie 3, Haman sort of plays a more prominent role.
That's true.
Which in the end comes to nothing, since she just retreats and runs away.
Yeah.
Because another thing is, aside from the way that they had the ending with Camille surviving, you get the impression that the AUG is militarily in a much better position at the end of the movies than at the end of the TV show. At the end of the TV show, you get the impression that they've pretty much lost everything except the Argama. The Argama has no pilots left. Most of its mobile suits are broken or delayed. And they're in a really, really, really tough bind. They're up the creek without a paddle. But, in the movies, they make it seem like the AU came out as the clear winner, whereas in the TV show, it was pretty much a Pyrrhic victory.
Yeah.
That they just barely came out on top, but they lost the pilots and most of their fleet.
When I first heard of the concept of doing the movies, I thought they were going to naturally lead into, say, maybe something like Double Zeta Gundam, a new translation. But sadly, when movie 3 came out, that was not the case. And because they just wanted to make a finite ending and remove Haman's significance, who I think is one of the best female anime characters ever invented, Haman Khan. She at that time, she kind of just broke the norm for female heavies. And I thought that was really cool. I mean, she was like what's Cassilia. Cassilia was, to me, was like a proto-Haman, and then Haman showed up and just perfected that too.
Yeah, because Haman was but also a very skilled pilot.
Exactly.
I mean, if you look at it in Zeta, Camille and Char, they couldn't even touch her.
Oh, she made Char look like a fool.
Yeah.
I mean, no, she did.
Yeah.
She did. She
did.
She made Char look like a complete fool.
It took a very special man to put her on edge.
But then again, though, too, she was the only other person besides Lala to make him not to lose his composure on.
Put the fear of God in him.
Well, it's not even that. He would lose his composure fighting her because he'd get so pissed because of her nonsense.
And my last thought is for the ending of Camille not getting brain fried. It doesn't bother me because at the beginning, when the movie trilogy was announced, Tamino said up front that he was changing the ending to give Camille a happy ending. So by the time I finally saw it, I knew since the beginning it was going to happen. So it's not like it was some massive surprise.
That's fine, but I thought that maybe it would actually segue into something. I didn't think it would kill the continuity of Double Zeta altogether, though, as a result. And
that one doesn't do it as much as Axis just leaving.
Yeah,
I think you could, to an extent, do like a new translation for Double Zeta, if you had him just coming back, not being brain fried, but the whole fact of Axis is just like, oh well, those two guys.
See you later.
Yeah, those two guys left. Let's just get out of Earth space and go to Jupiter of all places.
Let's go on a cruise.
Yeah, let's go to like one of the harshest space environments there is.
So I don't mind,
Awesome.
as a Zeta fan, it's nice to see, to come back one more time to the story with, the new animation, the new music, all this new stuff. It's just nice to see as a fan service for the 20th anniversary of the series, but I will always prefer the TV show. And when I've gotten people to watch Zeta, they say, "Oh, can I watch those movies?" No. Totally dissuade anybody from watching the movies. It's not a substitute, because at least with Mobile Suit Gundam, the movies, it was still pretty much the exact same story, with just a few changes in the order of events, and the biggest change was Makuve getting a get out of jail free card.
Yeah.
But otherwise, it was pretty much the exact same story, and you can work either one, and I prefer the movie version anyway. But with Zeta, really can't. It's just a nice thing for the fans to come back to once you've seen the TV show, just to see something a little different. But that's my thoughts on the trilogy.
Neo, any last words?
No, not really.
Well, then.
Just if you haven't seen it or you hadn't seen it in a while, go back and take a look, and just always remember, I guess, the importance that that this show put in the terms of the real robot genre and the anime genre in general, because you'll read a lot of stuff about how this is like the pinnacle. It was like kind of the pinnacle show for a lot of these current directors and writers that you have doing these new shows now. So and you can see it in a lot of these other shows. So
I imagine we'll have fun next time with Double Zeta.
Oh man,
yeah.
I can't wait. So listeners, jump on board your favorite anime website and pick up the movie trilogy for Mobile Suit Gundam and the recently released reprintings of Zeta Gundam in box sets, and have yourself a good couple of weeks of awesomeness. But anyway, that's the end of our Mobile Suit Zeta Gundam segment, and join us next time when we go into the next series in the line, which would be Mobile Suit Gundam Double Zeta. And this is Gundam at MAHQ. We'll be right back.
Killing me won't bring back your Gundam, honey! Oh, no, not the beast! Not the beast! Ah!
Look at that!
This is Soul Bro Review, and when you have a free moment, check out these cool websites. MAHQ.net, and that stands for the Mecha and Anime Headquarters. They have information and reviews on a variety of animes, as well as specs on Mecha from your favorite series. Check out the forums and see what the regulars are saying about Mobile Suit Gundam 00. AEUG.blogspot.com, and that website is Ganada, and that's your #1 news site for all things Gundam. But watch out for those spoilers on Gundam 00 though. www.myspace.com/FTS Shinjuku. And that's for the podcast that started it all. Flip the script. Anime, video games, movies, TV, and music are a few of the subjects that are tossed about in a roundtable discussion by 6 very different individuals. Boy Wonder, Dr. Encyclopedia Black, Lee Majors, and Shoji Ramuro, as well as the host of Gundam, Neo Lorinoke, and Sobro Ryu. GundamOfficial.com. That's Gundam OFFICIAL.com. And that's for the official website of Gundam, of course. It's managed by the guru of Gundam himself, Mark Simmons. For those who had missed out on Simmons' mega fan site and extensive wiki of mobile suits in the late 90s, labeled the Gundam Project, now's your chance to see the second coming of it at GundamOfficial.com. www.myspace.com/Gundam the show. That's GUNDAMN the show. And last but not least is the website for the unofficial podcast for all things Gundam and Mecha, Gundam. Check us out on MySpace, and if you're a member, add us as a friend and give us your opinions on the Mecha series you enjoy. Peep these cool websites when you get a minute. Now, back to...
Homies suck, dammit!
You're listening to the show that rolls deeper than the Mad Angler Squadron. That's right, Gundam at MAHQ.
Thought you were gonna say more roles than Ryan's.
Or Royce. There you go. Anyway, welcome back. And on this segment, we're going to be discussing, finally, after all this time, the new season of Code Geass, starting with episodes 1 through 4. And it looks like the show hit the ground running, but also left us kind of disoriented, because when we remember how things left off, it was quite different from how things are now. The show starts off, what is it, a year and a half after is it a year after the of the first season? We now find ourselves in 2019, ATB.
2018.
Sorry, 2018 ATV. And that brings us into the first turn, our first episode of the new season of Code Geass R2, The Day the Devil Awakens. Some of the things that happened in it. 1 year has passed since the Black Rebellion of the Black Knights. Since then, the new ruler of Area 11, Kararis, has instituted even more oppressive practices against 11s. Lelouch, having no memories of his time as Zero, cuts class and evades his teacher, Valletta. Oh, that's right, Valletta, y'all. He then hits the Babel Tower with his brother Rollo to gamble at chess. Lelouch has run into Callan at the Babel Tower, and a mobster named the Black King wants to buy her for his bunny hunt because she's dressed as a Playboy bunny, if y'all don't know, and looking good too. Lelouch challenges him to a game of chess. Lelouch beats the Black King, but the king falsely accuses Lelouch of cheating and has his men grab him. Elsewhere, the members of the Black Knights are held in prison, and some believe that Zero betrayed and abandoned them. The remaining members of the Black Knights, under the command of CC, use a blimp to initiate an assault on the Babel Tower. Elsewhere, Kararis meets with the Chinese ambassador, Gao Hai, and his bodyguard, Li. How do you pronounce his name? Li Zinke?
Zinke, I don't know.
Zinke. Well, we'll just slaughter his name for the time
Lee.
being.
He's just Lee.
During the fighting, Lelouch is separated from Rollo and encounters Cici, who is using his custom beret. Cici tells Lelouch that she knows who he really is, but is shot by a Britannian baron. Lelouch wonders if he will die, and Cici kisses him, which restores his full memories of Zero. Using the Geass, Lelouch orders the baron and the soldiers to kill themselves. Who saw that coming?
Yes, Your Highness! And again, these guys, I don't know what's with these guys always pointing their guns to their necks.
Yeah, I don't understand that because he just says kill yourself, but he doesn't say.
And they always are so happy when they do it. They're like,
Yes.
Yes, Your Highness! Boom!
Yes.
As they're sitting there gargling on their own blood.
Well, he is part of the royal family, so I mean, they're.
I know. I don't mean the yes, Your Highness. It's just, why do they always so happily point their guns to their necks and shoot themselves?
No, what I'm saying is he's part of the royal family, so you know the way it is in Britannia, everybody wants to go up and they want to make the royal family happy. So I guess that's why they're smiling as they're killing themselves.
I guess so.
As they're dying the roughest way possible.
Yeah, shot in the neck.
Jeez, that is terrible. But last but not least, in the Britannian homeland, Emperor Charles. That's right, my man, my friend Chuck.
No, he's not your man. Rivals.
He's not my man. Rivals. I'm sorry.
You've already got your man for this
right.
series.
My man Rivals. We'll be talking about him later in depth. Yeah, right. Emperor Charles meets with several knights of the round, including Suzaku, everybody's favorite turncoat.
Benedict Arnold.
Pretty much.
Benedict Suzaku.
Along with Gino Weinberg and Anya Earlstream. Anya Earlstream. Suzaku vows that he will be the one to take down Zero. And given how fast-paced and intriguing this first episode of the season was, what are you guys' thoughts on it?
I'll be honest with you. I had to watch it twice to kind of like gauge everything because at first I thought I was watching like the first 3 episodes of the first season just because of some of the stuff, especially when you meet up with the Baron and all that. But the guy that's basically you find out later has been in charge of tailing Lelouch. But yeah, it was a good episode. It was kind of a great way to start. I think what made me want to have to watch it again too is because once again they go away from the old anime staple of let's just kind of continue from season 1. And we have a big time skip, which I mean other shows have done, but it's just like, whoop, here we go. Lelouch is in school and he's acting not the same, and you kind of notice that, and slowly as everything kind of progresses, you see that okay, this has happened, that has happened, and
he's even more tall and way fisher than before.
Yeah, I'm glad that they did do that where they gave it looks like everybody did kind of age a little bit.
Or grow out in some cases.
Yeah, or grow out, grow up. So some people grew up, some people grew out. So yeah, because that's definitely the big selling point for all the fan service pervs out there. You definitely want to check out Callan dressed as the bunny chick. Ooh. Man,
what, me with the pervs.
What month is she? The girls of Area 11. The girl's a very 11 edition of Playboy,
I'll
but
take the calendar.
yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah. Just joking.
Thoughts for cosplay?
about the actual show.
But a good ep. A good way to start the season with a lot more questions than you had at the beginning.
As for you, Chris, what were your thoughts?
Well, it's obvious with this episode that and of times in season 1 that it's written in a way that it's for people who've already seen season 1, but obviously they're trying to draw in new people who may not have seen the show before. So it's kind of striking that balance. I thought it was kind of interesting that in some ways it parallels the first episode of season 1, with Lelouch getting caught up in a terrorist attack and, his powers unlocked and he gets these guys to kill themselves and all that. But and even the episode titles are kind of similar. So I think that was very deliberate. And overall, I thought it was a good introduction. A lot of people thought that there'd be a direct continuation, but instead there's a time skip, and people were complaining about how things were playing out and why it didn't continue directly. But obviously that gets addressed in future episodes. So I thought it was a good way to catch up and get the story again, and thankfully not do like a recap.
I think it's good though too that I think in a lot of the ways that they're doing the storytelling now in this show and other shows, that sometimes using the attitude of more is less. Sometimes we know that the rebellion failed. We don't need to know like each little thing that happened in between that time. It's okay, the rebellion failed, but we'll see throughout the show, probably through different characters, what happened and how it failed for them and what happened to them as we go on. Instead of just like, oh, here we go, the rebellion failed, people were killed, and all this other stuff that they do. So
speaking of which, episode 2 had a whole lot of that. Did you want to go into episode 2?
Sure, I'll go to it. It's actually a turn to the plan for Japan's independence, and kind of picks up from the end of episode 1 in the Babel Tower, this big, large tower that's like in the center of the Britannian city. There's a battle going on. During this time, Callan as she's fighting, she's thinking about the confrontation with Suzaku about a year or so ago. At the end of season 1, we get to see what happened, and the big question of that was pointed at in episode 1 of, how did they get to this point? We see that once again, Lelouch, as smart as he is and as a great thinker, is on the physical aspect, physically matched with Suzaku. He's so much his inferior, it's ridiculous.
But it's I think anybody would, compared to this ridiculous spiral kick that Suzaku does. It's been like turned into like 1,000 Photoshop things.
Yeah, it was very fighting game reminiscent of. I was like,
it was a freaking hurricane kick.
Yep. Pretty much.
Either that or was it kind of reminded me of he fights like Kyo Kusanagi, but that's a whole other conversation right there. Freaking RED kick out of nowhere. It's like, what the heck, man?
Yeah, I just
Dragon Punch forward. And
it was a little over the top, but we see that he does this crazy spinning kick, just gets the bomb off of Lelouch. And then Lelouch is then we have a little thing of Lelouch during this time in the Babel Tower recalling what happened, and we get to see that Suzaku, wow, what a punk this dude is. Some friend drags him all the way back to the Britannian Empire's capital and actually puts him in front of the Emperor, and then we get to see the big speculation that everybody was thinking pretty much from the beginning of season 1 is, does the Emperor have the Geass? And we find out that he does, and we find out that his powers to give you false memories, and he basically has Lelouch. He gives him false memories about anything dealing with his sister, Nunnally, and Zero, or anything dealing with the rebellion. So that was kind of interesting. Then we see that Carreras is the new military governor. Just like most of these hot-blooded guys in Britannia, they want to prove a point. So he goes to the front line in that same little thing that Clovis was in. So he was doomed. But
some ways he gets it worse than Clovis.
Yeah. Ooh. So and as we see that Lelouch has got his memories back, he starts giving the Black Knights some orders to destroy the Sutherlands that are coming on and everything like that. Well, at the meantime, he meets up with Callan, and she pulls a gun on him, and she basically asks him if he used the Geass. And he said yes, and he said, was it to bend her will at any point? And he's like, especially when it came to fighting for him, and he said, no, she's fighting on her own. So he never...
Well, actually, he never tells her that he did use Geass on her. He never admitted that.
Yeah. That's true.
She just asked him if he used it on her to bend her to his will, and he's like, no, you're fighting on your own. But he neglected to mention that he did indeed Geass her. So he kept that little secret.
Which is funny because he discovered he can only Geass. He only can Geass someone once. Thanks to doing her because of her.
Yeah,
because of her. Yeah.
I remember that now. So we got that. Then we have Charles. He takes Suzaku to that kind of floating temple area that we saw in season 1. I think we only saw him there with V2, and I think that we the few times that we saw Charles in season 1, we kind of saw him in this little
elevator.
Yeah, thing, and it's called the Sword Akashra. And he's telling Suzaku that it's actually a weapon to overthrow the gods. So we have new mystery there. We don't know who that is. So back to the fighting in Babel Tower. We got the Britannian reinforcements arrive, and the Black Knights encounter a new type of new type of nightmare called the Vincent, which basically it's much more powerful than what they have. The Vincent all of a sudden reaches Lelouch, and we see that it disappears when Callan and Oribe attack it. And Oribe, one of the guys that I don't remember.
He was in season 1.
Was he in season 1?
On the Holy Swords.
He's one of the 4 Holy Swords.
Oh, okay.
I didn't notice him before until the season started. And when my brother,
I don't think he had much dialogue before now.
No, he didn't.
Okay.
When my brother, we were watching the season 1 over again the other day. There he was all throughout season 1. It's like, wow.
He looked familiar. I just couldn't remember at that point where he was. So just like a true samurai, he sacrifices himself to destroy the Vincent, but we find out that it didn't work. And at the same point, then we have another kind of homage to season 1. Lelouch detonates some explosives that starts to do a chain reaction throughout the Tower of Babel, allowing him and Callan to escape. And it's funny, the tower actually starts at the way that they have it collapses right on top of Carreras, and he didn't have much screen time as a military governor. I thought he was going to kind of be one of these thorn in the sides for a little bit, but he only lasted about an episode and 3/4.
I thought he'd been to season heavy, and he certainly wasn't around for more than 2 episodes.
No, not at all. So with that, it was actually kind of cool that they basically escaped down the fallen tower, and once again Lelouch initiates a transmission as Zero and says that I'm back, and he wants to reestablish the United States of Japan. And at that time we go over to the Chinese consulate, and we see that a Vincent appears, and this is where ironically where the Tower of Babel collapsed down to. They were able to get to the Chinese consulate.
Nice. And
in that we find out the Vincent that Oribe had fought and Callan had fought. We see the pilot, and it ends up being Rollo, who we found out earlier in episode 1 was Lelouch's brother. He's met there by Lee, and he's saying that he's going to come to kill Zero. And that's end of episode 2 credits. So, any thoughts on that one, guys?
Well, it was great to get a episode that mostly had action in it. Although episode 1 of the season was also action-packed too, but to see Zero just jump right back into fine form, and as we discussed earlier when we first saw the episode, off the record, we Neo and I were talking, and it was so awesome to see that the backstory of what happened to Lelouch and Suzaku was like pounded out within 2 minutes, if not less than that.
Yeah.
I mean, it just got right to the point. I mean, I'm sure there's some details they left out on purpose, but for the most part, you got to see how the exchange went with the gunshots.
Well, there's not much you can. I mean,
there's really
not much you can show.
Explain.
I mean, he took him to the emperor.
Wiped his
and-
memory of his mother and his sister and the fact that he was a descendant of the throne and threw him back into school. It just makes me wonder because they also say that everybody else at the school had their memories affected too. It makes me wonder the span of the Emperor's Geass, like if he can Geass a whole crowd to mess with their memories, just like Lelouch can mess with a whole group of people if he's looking directly at them, as long as he's not too far away.
Yeah.
It just makes me wonder if he went out of his way to go to that school just to do that, or someone else did it. Who knows?
Well, if you recall, they tell Lelouch, Suzaku, when he returns, that after the school got attacked, that everybody went back to the homeland and only they came back. So
Yeah.
they were back in
Yeah.
I
remember
the
that.
Britannian homeland, aka America, and then got scooped up to pay a little visit to old Emperor.
Oh man.
Yeah, because in a later episode that we won't be covering today, there's something where they ask about where Nina is, and
very
she never came back. She's still on the Britannian homeland.
But you got to see her in episode 2 for about a second when Lelouch, Zero was on the mic.
Yeah.
And you should see she's crazy, and she's crazier than ever. But she just looks like she's still disturbed over the whole fact that Zero's back. But
maybe she went to relieve her frustrations on a table.
maybe so. Maybe so.
She got the old People magazine with Yuffie on the cover.
That's kind of creepy.
That's terrible. She probably still has it too. But anyway, episode 2 I thought was awesome. It just kept up the momentum that episode 1 had. But Chris, what were your thoughts?
I gotta say, when they showed that scene with Suzaku dragging Lelouch in front of Charles, I hated him so much for that. It's like, you are such a bastard that you would sell out your best friend.
Oh,
yes.
My hair stood on end.
In this idiotic pursuit of power to change the empire from within, and you're doing a deal with the devil basically, because Charles is this guy who's made it very clear that he's Mr. Social Darwinist, survival of the fittest.
Exactly.
And how are you going to compete against a guy like this who has so much power with your misguided ideas? And the only one who could have helped you, Lelouch, you sell him out like a dog.
Exactly.
Yeah. And
So
I mean,
I totally hated Suzaku for that, and have ever since then for being such a bastard.
Same here, because I saw that and I'm just like, and I know part of it is because he was still kind of distraught with the old Euphemia doing everything.
Yeah.
But here's a guy that this is once again the whole misguided idealism of Suzaku is he was complaining to Lelouch that he's bending people's wills with the Geass, but yet he sits there and allows the Emperor to do that to Lelouch.
Yeah, and it's because of the Emperor that he's in this situation in the first place.
And I actually think, this is my theory, I actually think to an extent the reason why Suzaku is so adamant about this is, in a way, I think he's jealous of Lelouch. He's jealous of Lelouch because of what Lelouch could have. Because once again, if you remember, Lelouch denounced his throne.
Yeah, but
he could have been in the royal family. I almost think to a point that, here's Suzaku, a guy that, has no country. He has nothing. I mean, who killed his own father. He turned it back on his father, his country. Here, Lelouch has his sister. He could have been in the royal family. If things were different, Lelouch could have been a governor of an area.
But the thing is that his father would have never respected him, given the fact that his father said, "You were dead. You've always been dead. You've been dead from birth."
But you got to remember, he didn't do that until Lelouch challenged him. That's
true,
the reason. Because it's all speculation, but that's just my thing. I think if Lelouch didn't challenge him, he would have been fine. But that's a whole different thing. But I thought that was one of the best parts of it, and it was nice to see that the speculation of Charles having the Geass, like. That was like the biggest thing of the season 1. Everybody was thinking that he had some, especially once V2 started showing up.
Yeah, well,
you're like, he had to have the Geass. So that was.
And here's the thing about Suzaku. I mean, with his misguided idealism, even if he eventually does one day get the power to help Japan and do what he wants to do, everything he's done up to that point has been helping the bad people further their goals and oppress his own people. So getting that power means nothing because he's helped the villains further their goals, whereas Lelouch is trying to get to his goals by fighting the bad people. So I don't understand why Suzaku thinks he's the one who's in the right when he's the worst villain of them all, in essence.
Suzaku he's the easiest way to equate him is if you go to like something that happened in our history, World War II. He's like the the Vichy French. The Vichy French, when the Nazis, when they took over France, they created a puppet state, and they had basically French people that probably had kind of the same idealism too, that, you know,
Right.
if we do this, then, you know, we're separate, but we're not separate. We're still part of them. He's the same thing. I mean, if the rebellion happened, you know, Suzaku he was captured by the Japanese, he would end up being shot as a collaborator.
Yeah.
And he should be, because he turned out to be the most disgusting of all people by doing what he did.
I mean, what's to say? I mean, unless his ultimate
There's
goal,
no justification of what he
unless
did.
his ultimate goal is to kill the emperor and then assume the throne, then maybe some of this will actually be worthwhile for Suzaku doing that. But honestly, I don't think that's going to be the outcome. He just wants to kind of ease in there and change it by some kind of goodwill, and I don't think that's going to happen the way the emperor's mindset is. And plus, he has a Geass that can F with your mind. Come on now. It just doesn't make sense.
But
to
last
me.
thing on episode 2, I do think it was interesting though that as much of a social Darwinist that the you know, that the emperor is, it was interesting that he didn't kill Lelouch. And I think mainly because I think in a way he was impressed by Lelouch. I think in some ways Lelouch turned out to be just like his father, and in a lot of ways, he probably has the most balls of anybody in the royal family by doing what he did. I mean, there's impossible odds of, you know, what he was trying to achieve. So
if no one has ever stood up against him or hasn't stood up against him in a long time, he's probably not going to let this opportunity go to let his son get another shot just to see exactly what he'll do.
But it was a good episode though.
Well, there are lots of theories that you know, that Charles is setting his children against each other to see who will fight and be the toughest and survive and therefore become the successor.
Yeah.
So, you know, it could be that he's orchestrated everything, you know, to see if Lelouch will be the one who will, you know, survive the test and become his successor. So
that would make a
makes
lot of sense, because I mean he's 2 up on everyone.
Yep.
So I mean he's only got what Schneisel, the other brother.
Oh, that clown Odysseus.
Yeah, Claudia Decius and Cornelia, and that's it, right?
MIA, but still in the game.
And
Somehow.
he won't kill Nunnally, so I mean, there's only 3 left though. But so who wants to go on?
Well, Chris can definitely
3.
get episode 3.
All right, so brings us to turn 3, the Imprisoned Academy. And we've got Lelouch playing some more of his mind games because Rollo is sitting outside the Chinese consulate during Zero's speech, but he gets a phone call from Lelouch, who's back at school with Valletta. And, you know, we found out that it was Lelouch doing the old switcheroo with C2 being Zero again, which allowed Lelouch to, you know, get out. So Rollo's starting to doubt, and he wonders if, you know, who that Zero is that's on screen. And later he goes back to school and he meets with Valletta in their secret underground chamber, which interestingly is the place where Mao had held in Season 1. They've got their plan to keep watching Lelouch and see if it draws out C2. And then, of course, back at the consulate, we've got that thread with the Black Knights, and Lee tells Colin and C2 that Gao Hai is going to be executed for his actions involving Zero, and soon after, he asks Gao Hai why he did what he did, and, you know, if he received permission from the mainland for allowing Zero to set up there, and Gao Hai basically is, you know, I don't care about the Empress, and
Right.
Zero is what makes me happy, so Lee takes the opportunity to kill Gao Hai very nicely with his little spear grappling thing. We cut over to Europe and we see the EU is fighting against Britannia, and they seem to be holding up pretty well, but then Suzaku shows up with the Lancelot and basically kicks all their asses. Moving back to Japan, as part of a plan to get Zero to reveal himself, Guilford comes on TV and he threatens to execute all of the captured Black Knights unless Zero comes out and fights him in a one-on-one duel. So he has himself, all his forces are stationed outside of the Chinese consulate with the gallows, and all of the Black Knights members who were captured, like Toto and Ogi and Tamaki and all these people. And back at school, you've got Lelouch, who asks Shirley to come with him on a shopping trip to get a birthday present for Valletta, which
impromptu.
she of course interprets as, is this like a date for us? Since she's still got the hots for him.
Yes, sir.
And they're being followed by Rollo and your man Revals, as well as Valletta's surveillance team. So while they're at the mall, Lelouch, he phones in a bomb threat, and during that whole ruckus, he escapes from Rollo's surveillance. You got back at the console, there's an explosion, and Lee is attacking the Black Knights. And eventually, at the end, returns to the surveillance center at school, but there's nobody there except Lelouch, who's pointing a gun to his head.
Oh, man.
But then next thing you know, Rollo disappears and then reappears behind Lelouch and is holding Lelouch at gunpoint with his own gun. So, yet another little cliffhanger. Thoughts on the episode?
I was just saying, it was nice to. It's nice to see that when they go back to the whole thing of. In one episode, like episode 2, that it was more like the Zero type of arc type things, and then you go back and he's once again Lelouch, a kid, and he's got to deal with all the stuff that he has to deal with his friends and everything. It was nice to see him and Shirley go out to the so-called date and do all that, but once again he's always all business, and how he thinks all these things and these plans. I mean, it will be interesting the point when they can say like what his genius level is, because man, the guy is smart as heck.
Yeah, he's got to have an IQ that's bordering 200, if anything. I just I love this episode for the fact that you find out more and more about Rollo in this episode.
Yeah.
Not the overload that you get the following episode, but you get a hint of what his ability may be, as well as the whole thing with you get to see what Snizel's doing. You get a little cameo from him because they refer to him earlier on when the Emperor tells Suzaku that not even his own son, Snizel, knows about
the temple,
the thought elevator, or the Geasses or whatnot. I think Snizel knows about the Geasses somehow, but that has yet to be revealed. But the fact that his trusted son doesn't know anything about that, and the only people that do are Lelouch and Suzaku and the of course the givers of the Geass. But overall, a great episode. It's good to see Lelouch back in fine form. Undercover as Lelouch himself, and in a tight situation, he's able to think of ways out, like with nobody's business. He's the man of working through a situation impromptu. The way he does, and it's always a treat to see him do that.
It's also nice, even though it seemed kind of like, if at first thought it seemed kind of not necessary, but seeing Suzaku attack the EU forces once again establishes that point that once again, for all his idealism, this guy's still a killer for the bad guys. He's still going out there and he's still killing people.
I don't think he killed anybody. I think he
whatever. That's
because I looked for that just to see if he was killing anybody, and I don't think he did.
It doesn't matter.
But he's still working.
He's still doing what he's still doing what he has to do with them. Work. But it was also kind of interesting to see, I guess, once all those people were gone back to homeland, that they set up that surveillance point in the surveillance center in the Asteroid Academy. So they definitely, I guess for whatever reason, there's probably, even Charles doesn't have that much faith in the lasting effects of his Geass. So.
Yeah. He knows he's going to find a way out. And if CC did get to him, then he would definitely regain his memories, which exactly is what's played out.
But Chris,
it's nice to see Lelouch masterfully manipulate people again, but unfortunately, there's a little kink in his plans because he wasn't expecting Rollo to have Geass.
Yeah.
And pull that little switcheroo on him at the end with the gun.
Definitely.
But it's great to see him have people on their toes again, and now he's sort of playing this game of having people wonder, is he Zero? Isn't he Zero? Is this somebody else?
Yeah.
And nobody knows.
And he's walking that fine line because he knows Nunnally is off somewhere, and he doesn't know whether her life is being threatened or not. So he's kind of reined in, trying to keep this whole secret in check.
Oh, definitely. So, but anything else?
Nope.
I guess that'll bring us to turn 4. I guess I'll blow through it real quick, and that's called the Gallows of Counterattack. And we get a little blast to the past here. We get to see Rollo's past revealed to us. We find out that he's basically been an assassin hired and since he was small. We find out, and Lelouch finds out at the same point, that Rollo simply just freezes people's perception of time. He doesn't necessarily do time itself. So that was kind of an interesting thing there. And we see that Rollo's been using this throughout his life to accomplish a lot of his assignments as an assassin. So Lelouch asks him if he has any future beyond the mission that he has right now, which is observing Lelouch and finding C2. Then he's able to do in a masterful way, convincing Rollo not to kill him. We get back to the consulate, and we get to see that Lee tells Callan and C2 that Gohei has been executed for his actions involving Zero. And this was mainly because Lee had confronted Gohei, who said he didn't care about the Empress, and so he was killed. So that was kind of interesting there that, it seems that Lee's got kind of more of a power, more of like a de facto power in the consulate. So it'll be kind of interesting to see where he fits in this whole thing. Lelouch does the old disguising as a Britannia soldier again. He must have about 50 of these uniforms in his closet by now. And then he uses the Geass again because, since he got into contact with C2, he's able to use it. But interestingly enough, though, he still, I don't know if we talked about it, he still can't hide it. So he has to use a special contact to keep it from, for everyday life. So he's not Geassing everyone. He does it on this Glasgow night to set up a plan. And this time, this is when Guilford's about to do the execution that he promised of Toto and all the other Black Knights that are in custody. And then suddenly, Lelouch and Zero with his hamming up, he comes out on a custom Barai as Zero, and Guilford doesn't want to speak to him face to face, but wants to duel.
How unfortunate for Lelouch.
Yes.
That just would have made things so much easier for him.
Oh, I know. Because we just know how great he is in anything dealing with any physicality, especially, at the beginning of, just going back real quick, beginning of episode 1, we find out that Lelouch is in remedial PE. I didn't even know they had such a thing.
Wow.
So that makes it kind of funny, but
it's kind of embarrassing.
Yeah, it is. It is kind of embarrassing. But Lelouch asks that they fight one-on-one with only weapons, so he selects a night police shield. And as Guilford charges forward, a Geass worker collapses the settlement support structure, kind of an ode to season 1 there. Again, they got to do something about those support structures and bomb sniffing dogs or something.
That's what I'm saying.
But Lelouch surfs down on safety on the shield, and the rest of the Black Knights charge forward to save the captured guys. And then Rollo, we see, chases after Lelouch, and one of the other Glaston Knights fires at him.
Ironically, the son of what's his name?
Darlton.
Darlton's son. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, he's a sniper.
But one of his adopted sons.
Really, I didn't realize he had
He mentions in one of the picture dramas that he has a bunch of adopted sons because the Glaston Knights, they're all his adopted sons, and they're all named Darlton, but they're not his actual sons.
Yeah, so they're probably just some orphans that they took care of. But they escape down the hole that was made in the support structure. So all the Black Knights are rescued. They make it back to the Chinese consulate. And then we get a little peer into we're back at the Ashford Academy in one of the classes, and guess who came back to go to school?
Homecoming.
So, and that's the end of this episode. Any thoughts?
At first, I was a little annoyed, but just a little bothered that Lelouch used the same old collapsing floor.
Yeah, same here.
Attack again, but maybe he did it because of the fact that they never expected he would do it again. So he certainly got the upper hand on Darlton. As far as masterful manipulations, the way he Geassed that Glaston Knight to shoot at the Vincent, but then Lelouch took the shot.
Yeah.
And he just Rollo completely in his pocket by saying, even if the memories were fake, the time we spent together wasn't the lie, and you're my brother, and Rollo's just like, brother, family. He just got in hook, line, and sinker. Perhaps maybe a little bit too well, as we'll see in later episodes.
Exactly.
Oh yes, definitely. But I mean.
But on top of that, Rollo doesn't trust him fully, though, so I got to give him some credit. But
a little bit, he got roped in a little bit too much, probably a little bit more than Lelouch expected. But
once again, Lelouch is able to see somebody's weakness and able to manipulate it to what he wants it to do. And yeah, like you said, in later episodes, it definitely is maybe a little bit too much, but. Once again, though, it gets down to that whole thing of, and this is where I even like Rollo better than Suzaku, because here Rollo he's had this, he's been used by Britannia to do out all these missions, but now he's starting to, down himself just by the simple fact of, what are you going to do after this mission once you get me or in C2 and it's killing me is not going to do anything, and you actually like being around me, so as we spent time it was a good thing. So
yeah, because he's basically a nobody.
Yeah, I mean, and he's just he's just going to go off and he completes this mission and he'll just go to the next thing and do whatever he needs to do. But I was also a little annoyed with the whole collapsing structure thing, but once again I think it works because maybe it was just oversight, and I also get kind of a sense in this season that because of what happened in the rebellion, even though there's a perception that Britannia has a harder, a tighter grip on what's going on in Area 11, they kind of don't. Like, it seems like because of what happened and things got destroyed, there's all these, unsupervised areas that people can get into, and we find out with the thing with the fight with the EU that Britannia's got a whole bunch of forces fighting them, so they're getting spread thin. So there's going to be lapses in security probably.
If you look at it, it's Japan is one of the Area 11 is one of the furthest territories that they have control of from the main base. So I mean, geographically, they have that advantage of a small concentration of forces there. But given all the Sakuradite there, you figure they'd have a much stronger presence in Area 11. I guess. I guess things would
probably because the rebellion was a lot more successful than a lot more successful in the aspect of screwing of hurting their forces there. It wasn't successful in what it did, but they probably caused a lot of casualties. We saw in that last battle they lost a lot of materials and men. So
very true.
The thing is, when you rule by the fist the way Britannia is, you have to always have that fist out.
Very true.
So they've got to. We don't know if there's any rebellious sentiment on the homeland of Britannia, which includes North and South America. So you've got to cover those two continents.
Yeah.
You've got at least 18 areas to cover, some of which were shown last season in addition to Japan to being in open rebellion.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got, the European Union fighting against Britannia, and then you've got the Chinese Federation who made their move last season and are now making another move. So you basically have Britannia fighting against the entire world, so they can't really focus all of their attention on just Japan, even if Japan is an important site of where all this hotbed of rebellion is occurring. They still have every other front. Their front it's not a two-front war. It's like
5-front war, probably.
It's like the entire world is the front.
Yeah.
So, they have to divide their resources.
And they talk about that they've been fighting the EU for so long. Yeah. So, that probably that's probably where the majority of their forces are.
Well, given the illusion, that all the 93% of the world's fuel for nightmares come from there, I figured it'd be kind of equating to say the situation over in the Middle East where most of the world's oil comes from there.
Yeah, look how well things are going there. So.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so.
Which is a very good comparison given the same situation. There's insurgents that are definitely working against Britannia's grip in Japan, and eventually they're gonna wrench it free. At least I hope so. Also, if you take into account that Zero hasn't been back for that long, they may have not had enough time to really get their forces there to really get a rein on things. So there's also that as well to factor. But
excellent episode. I just like the whole, the whole mind games thing is just becoming ridiculous, and it's nice to see. It's very interesting now that we in the first season we had, when it came to people with the Geass, we had Lelouch and Mao, and now we've been introduced to 2 other people. So it makes me start to wonder how many more of these people are going to be starting to show up, and so it's definitely it was definitely these 4 episodes were definitely a great beginning of the season 2, and I like the direction that they're going, because a little bit at a time, when it comes to these stories, it's definitely keeping the pace up, and as we'll discuss in the other episodes, we see that it gets ramped up a lot. And I go on record saying I hate Suzaku. He's the worst character. I like Charles better than him.
Charles.
So do I.
Hey, Chris,
Emperor Charles.
Chris, any last thoughts?
No last thoughts.
All right then. Well, that brings our month of Geass to a close. Join us in a month when we review episodes 5 through 8, and we'll be back with the next segment on Gundam at MAHQ.
Striking out on finding your favorite manga, anime, or series merchandise nearby or online? Lost when it comes to finding pop music from Japan, Hong Kong, and other Asian markets? Well then, Florida Oriental Trading is here to help. If you live in the Central Florida area, head on over to the intersection of Colonial Drive and Mills Avenue near downtown Orlando. You'll find FOT right next to the CVS Pharmacy. For those who live abroad, find out more about our favorite store online at floridaorientaltrading.com or call them directly at area code 407-895-0650. FOT carries a large selection of merchandise such as art books, t-shirts, posters, wall scrolls, soundtracks, PVC figurines, models, and much, much more. Also, it's a great place to find imports of your favorite musical artists and the latest films from Japan, Hong Kong, and other Asian countries. Last but not least, Florida Oriental Trading is not only home to the best selection of anime on DVD in Central Florida, but there you'll find a wide variety of manga too. On top of that, all of their manga is always priced at 20% less than retail, daily.
20%.
That's right, Frank.
20%.
Florida Oriental Trading is open every day except Wednesdays from 10 a.m. to 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You even find them open most holidays. So if you're local, stop on by and visit Quan and Debbie or give them a call at area code 407-895-0650 and give them the business. Tell them Gundam and MAHQ sent you.
Just gotta keep on trucking, yes sir! I'm gonna go outside and make myself a nice big shiny first place medal, sit in the sun, and have a stupendous friggin' day, damn it!
Well, alright, you're messy. Would you make me a medal too?
Welcome back to the show that has more cross-dressers than the crew of the Argama, Gundam at MAHQ. By cross-dressers, I don't mean me, by the way.
Nice.
I don't know about you guys.
It's just
I try not to.
Just in
I
my
save it
free
for the
time.
weekends.
It's just in my free time. I just go as a schoolgirl.
All right,
Everybody loves schoolgirls.
apparently.
TMA.
So as we've been doing for a few episodes, we're continuing our series Gundam Round-up, going in production order every single Gundam show. So, of course, this time the spotlight is on Gundam Double Zeta,
Hey.
sequel to Zeta Gundam.
Yay.
So, as we've done so far with the series, we're not going to really be getting into plot details because we assume you've already seen it, and if not, well, go see it. So we're just going to be going into our thoughts and opinions, and I'll just kick the football over to you guys. Who wants to start? Any general thoughts on Double Zeta?
Yeah, I bought it a couple years ago, and I found a pretty good deal online for the Japanese or for the import. And I had always heard about this show, and mostly dubiously because of some of the things that happened, especially in like the first, I'd say, what is it, about 12 to 15 episodes, as where the end of Zeta, we all know how Zeta is, how powerful it was, and how kind of depressing it was, especially at the beginning. I guess Tomino tried to invoke a little humor in Double Zeta, and we basically pick up from the ending of Zeta, and everything that we have going on is just at like kind of like a slapstick kind of take, where we the first episode, it's like a children's show where they're giving you like, can you say Zaku? And all this other stuff. Can you say Gundam? And then we start off in the second episode where they're basically, it's the argument, and it's right after the Battle of Grips, and kind of the little hilarious things there. We get to see like chickens go on top of Bright's head, and not the
Bright
chickens,
versus the chicken.
chickens, and we get introduced to like this crazy
Freaking chickens
that's
and the pigs.
Yeah, and if I can remember correctly, I think they had some merchandise from Bandai in some of those boxes. I actually think if you look at the boxes, they say Bandai on the side.
Some of them do.
They do.
Yeah, so probably some Gunpla and some
They
other
support the war effort.
some other things, but you get introduced to like this over-the-top character, Mashima, this like Zeon guy that is in love with a rose that was given to him by Haman Khan, and it's just like every time he does something, it's all over the top. He's just that kind of, the defeated goofy villain that you have in like Hanna-Barbera cartoons and stuff. I mean, he's like kind of like Dirk Dastardly for a little bit, but definitely it takes some time to get going, and once it does get going, it starts to take a good turn. Goes in a pretty different direction when it comes to I like that they kind of have the kids kind of take over there for a while, and they do what they need to do. Bright and those guys kind of take a back seat in the end. For all its good points, it has a lot of bad points, especially like the ending. Spoiler alert for people: Haman Khan gets killed, and I just don't really like the way, for such an interesting character,
Say it ain't so.
she has to just kind of crash herself into a meteor. So that didn't seem very befitting to somebody like that. So but other than that, I thought it was a pretty good show. Not the best show, but definitely not as horrible as people make it out to be. Seriously. So.
Yeah, I mean the show takes a dramatic turn, like in the teens, like the late teens of the episodes,
like that.
and if it gets kind of more on the Zeta Gundam vibe, but doesn't get as dark as Zeta Gundam, but it gets respectively compelling. Again, it brings it back to the kind of the compelling feel that Zeta Gundam had. It still has a bit of whimsy to it, and I didn't think that was a bad thing. It was nice to have.
No, it got less slapstick. That was
far less slapstick, and then some of the characters that were silly at first became far more respectable. Although there's the anomaly of Shara Soon, or who I like to call Sharo, Coochie.
The Coochie lady. Every time she saw Judo, she'd have to put his head between her boobs.
Hey, man.
I mean, it's not a bad thing, but that hair. She had to do something with that hair.
Judo didn't fight it. The hair.
Hey, it was 1986. What are you supposed to do?
Yeah.
Hey,
I don't know what was worse, Shara's hair or those glasses that Haman wore when she was sunbathing. And you know what I'm talking about. I did like the aspect that they just kind of passed the Gundams and the mobile suits around like hot potatoes.
Oh, they did.
Like
the Zeta Gundam got passed around like a joint, man.
Yeah. And of course, when you get the double Zeta, it's got that whole super robot thing. It's 3 pieces into one. And yeah, it had pretty cool music. It had the cool transformation music. I like that. When you started hearing those drums, you knew it was transformation time. But so it was kind of interesting. But Chris, any thoughts?
Oh, where do I start?
we were saving you for last. So
I guess with the first episode, you got that the first episode is a clip show, which I could sort of understand, given that it follows immediately after Zeta, but it's a pretty crappy clip show.
Oh, it's terrible.
It doesn't really explain anything in detail about the original series or about Zeta.
No.
So if you have never seen Gundam before Zeta at the time, it doesn't really help you in any way at all.
Oh, yeah.
Not really.
Not at
I
all.
kind of refer to it as an episode 0. I mean, you can even skip it.
Yeah, I
quite honestly.
I
have
only have watched it for review purposes and never again.
Yeah.
Exactly. I watched it once. I watched the show like 3 times, but I watched it once because it's like, just immediately to fast forward.
Yeah. You've got, obviously, the slapstick, which I don't mind, whimsy in a mecha show because, as we were discussing before the show, Dragon R has it in spades, but it works just fine in Dragon R because it's also not done to the same extremity.
Yeah.
But even Tamino, he does whimsy with L Game, and it works fine there. The thing is, those are fine because those are their own franchises, but you've got Double Zeta as the third part of a trilogy almost, following after Gundam and Zeta, and especially as the direct sequel to Zeta, which set a certain tone, you kind of expect it to keep that tone. It's like if you're watching the original Star Wars and then you got Empire Strikes Back and then suddenly Return of the Jedi, it turned into like a slapstick musical.
You're right, though.
I mean, for some people, it kind of went the same road anyway with Ewoks, but that's neither here nor there. So,
can of worms.
The tone doesn't really match for that first half, and it's a really sudden shift. Number 2, the pacing slows down so horribly for the first half of the show. I mean, it takes them 8 episodes to get the hell out of that frickin' junkyard in Shangri-La, and it's like you look at the first 8 episodes of Zeta, and so much had happened by that point.
Yazan and Muttley.
Yeah, they did turn one of the most cold-hearted killers of Zeta into a chump.
Yeah, they totally gimped Yazan and basically just made him a Hanna-Barbera cartoon villain.
Yeah, with his buddy Muttley, that big guy.
Yeah.
His only saving credits, he killed Sagusa, like the first real episode of the show.
Yeah, but then after that, he just became insane, but not in a good way, and he's just like stealing pigs and piloting junk mobile suits built by garbage men. I mean, come on.
Daggone shame.
Then you've got Shimo, who really is the most uncompelling antagonist.
Yeah.
I have to mention Moon Moon, which is just one of the dumbest things I've ever freaking seen.
Oh, you didn't like the Lost Colony of Moon Moon?
Oh, please. Which held for many years the honor of being the lowest rated review on MAHQ with half star for both of those episodes until until the Nadesco movie review came along and shot that out of the park and ignited a whole new firestorm.
Ooh.
But that also is neither here nor there.
Yeah.
So finally, when the series starts to take a turn for me when they go to Axis, and then there's all the stuff that's on the moon, and then finally when they do the Earth arc. And for me, that whole time, from the Earth descent battle to the time they go back up to space, I put that whole part up to par with Zeta.
Right.
Yeah, I'd have to say, don't mean to interrupt, but the one episode that I thought was really well done, directed, drawn, and everything like that is when they had the colony drop. And they're fighting, and as the colony, as it had hit the Earth,
Dublin, right?
And hit Dublin, and as they're fighting, and I thought this was so nice that they did this. They still showed all the ash and everything throughout the episode. That was one of the few times because even in a lot of these new shows, they forget those details. Yeah, you forget.
You don't see that.
They do it by CG
and be lazy.
Or once they advance to another, they'll show it real quick, and then they're fighting, and then they'll show nothing there. But that was one of the, and I think that was the one that Hayato got killed in, wasn't it?
It was around there.
Yeah, that was when he got killed by Rock.
That's when Camille gets mind raped. That's when God, what else? And that's when Judo fights one of the Pooters. Was it Pooter 1, the original?
I think so.
I think so. He hadn't met Pooter 2 yet.
So yeah, it's
no, it was in Dublin that he fought Pooter 2 using the Psycho.
Oh, okay. Thank you. It was Pooter 2 then.
Yeah.
When he fought her, but it was nice.
That was a great battle. That's probably my favorite battle from that show.
Yeah, that episode just stood out in the whole thing, and I do agree with you that the part that you just talked about is on par with Zeta. I mean, you're on like the edge of your seat. There's a lot of stuff going on. There's no wasted time, no wasted story, no wasted battle, really.
Yeah.
Another little arc during that, I guess the whole Earth arc that was I found really impressive was the desert arc where they were in the desert and Judo was rocking the Zeta, it's like F the double Zeta, man. I'm rocking this on Earth, man. This thing transforms. But the girl that was working for the Neo Zeon, the chick in the village, I forget her name, but she was Arabian, or she was a local from around there, and she was kind of a double agent. You remember that? And her
Masai.
Yeah, Masai, yeah. And I guess her love,
her boyfriend. Her boyfriend or something
was a pilot for Zeon.
Yeah,
and I guess she was taking up arms against the Federation because she still had a score to settle from way back then.
Yeah, she wanted revenge. Yeah, it's kind of tragic, in that Zeta tragic,
the Zeta Gundam
style.
Exactly.
Yeah. And another thing I enjoyed was when they got back to Dakar again and they had that whole battle between the AUG and the Neo Zeon. I thought that was very nicely done, and you had a great moment there. The way that they killed Lena, with that exploding mobile suit falling under that hut and just everything catching fire and exploding.
Yeah,
I thought that was a great moment just to have it totally gimped with the later revelation that she was actually alive.
Yeah,
and was being taken care of by Sailor Mass,
of all people,
who appeared out of nowhere. It's like, oh, come on, why'd you have to go and ruin that for? So the series was great up until that whole point, and then they go back up into space. They do the frickin' moon.
Yeah,
they go to this ridiculous Tigerbaum colony, and they're cross-dressing, and like the ruler of the colony's this like dirty pedophile pimp guy.
Oh yeah.
Then they go to this Core 3 colony and waste more time there, and it's like, oh, why'd you have to go and get all goofy again? And then suddenly in the last 4 episodes, like, hey, Glemmy's having a rebellion. Oh, it's Zeon fighting Zeon. Oh no, it's bad. Oh, the end.
The original Low Rent Char.
Oh, you talking about
yes,
Glemmy?
Because as we know, Tamino was planning for Char to show up in Double Zeta, and he was going to mount the rebellion against Haman, and the story was vastly different. I've seen one of the outlines, and originally the show had Emma surviving.
Yeah.
Zeta. She's gonna die like halfway through Double Zeta, and like Judo had a thing for her because he apparently had a thing for older women in this version, and you had a lot of different things going on, and you had like Char doing this rebellion and killing Haman, and then like Judo is fighting him, and then Amuro shows up, and you had all of this stuff going on.
God, how that would have worked though. I mean, that would have been epic just to see Char have to kill Haman.
It would have been great because after all of the things that she did to him, but
Yeah.
then of course Tomino got the approval to do Char's counterattacks, so he of course had to hastily rewrite everything, and then suddenly Glemmy went from being dumb grunt A who was love struck for Lelouch to mastermind rebellion guy with tons of Puru clones who everyone follows for a mysterious reason.
Yeah.
Which I don't mind if they had him, as rebellion guy, but they should have had it that way from the beginning of the series and not had him be a clown grunt pilot and developed his... I mean, they were developing his rebellion, like him secretly plotting against Haman, and she knows he's up to something, but then the actual rebellion didn't happen until the very end of the show happened as soon as they got back to space, and none of this Moon Redux crap. It would have also helped if the show had an extra 3 episodes so it could run 50 like Zeta did and not 47, which is a pretty odd number. So
Yeah.
I think the show turned around a lot in its middle half, but then towards the end, the last like 7 episodes, it kind of falls apart again. And when you get to the ending, it's pretty much just sort of a rehash of Zeta.
Yeah.
You got all of these people dying, mostly on the villain side, and then at the end,
Right.
Judo's fighting Haman. It's a tough battle, and then like the spirits of all these dead people, some of which he's never even met, come and
Yeah, I forgot about that.
he beats up Haman, and then she unceremoniously offs herself. Which, as kind of lame as that is, I kind of prefer, because if a punk like Judo, who really wasn't that great of a pilot in my opinion, could kill her, when even Camille and Char couldn't touch her,
That's true.
it just would have been too much. Well, the fact that he even beat her the way he did, I think is too much, given that better pilots couldn't even scratch her.
Yeah.
You think Judo was that bad though?
I think he was just an okay pilot. I mean, he was nothing that special.
Yeah, as a pilot, he's okay.
Well, he was
as a new type.
Yeah.
He was.
Yeah, as a new type, he was very strong.
Yeah, but I mean, he wasn't put to task like Camille was. I mean, Camille was in some pretty terrible situations. Even Amuro was in some pretty bad situations, and they made it through. And Judo, then again, the whole the first Neo Zeon war wasn't nearly as epic as, say, those other 2 wars were, and it was kind of a
and you got to
vacation.
remember their whole thing too on this one is they survived because of the Gundam team.
Yeah.
When they had it was more emphasis on the team.
Yeah.
Like even Judo, he fought within the team. He never really he wasn't like these other guys that would just like jump. No, I'm going to take care of myself. But I felt that. I felt the same way with Chris, as great as a character as Haman Khan was, and man, she held her own against Char. I mean, that battle at the end of Zeta. I mean, when she's taking all comers.
Yeah, I mean, she was taking on Char and Camille and Sirocco, and she just kept them all at bay.
Yeah, and and they're in their own prototype, massively powered up suits, and they were all great pilots, and Judo was just an okay pilot. I mean, he was, he's a good character, but he as a pilot. I mean, I don't think he's probably not top 5 in the Gundam universe.
I like the fact that he was street smart. I like the fact that
I did like that.
I like the fact that he had experience piloting mechs way before he even stepped into the Zeta Gundam. So I mean, that was a really good explanation.
I'm glad
Not that it helped him much at first, because he couldn't even find the damn close hatch button.
Yeah.
Which for like 5 episodes was an issue. Like, oh no, the hatch is open.
and
I forgot about that.
Exactly, and as complicated as the Zeta supposedly be, everybody got used to using it like it was nothing to pilot. So
until it got disgraced at the end with its unceremonious
yeah,
demise.
and that did break my heart. But then we got the regs.
Plus the earlier disgrace Zaku.
Oh,
I forgot.
I want that model, by the way.
I think I tried to block
Die.
that out of my head.
just go in a corner and die.
Yeah, I did like the fact of Judo not being kind of the whiny emo pilot from the beginning. I mean, he got it, and then his pain was understandable. I mean, he saw his sister supposedly get killed, so okay.
But then that all got negated by her being alive, so that kind of
that was
cancels out his reason for fighting on, because
what's awkward is that they're all thinking she's dead. And you figured,
yeah, so they think he's loony when he's saying that he thinks she's alive, and they're like, okay, Judo, sure thing.
Yeah.
He's like, no, she is. And she is, but they don't know that.
but when it happened, as powerful a new type as Judo is, you figure he would be on the sense when his sister died, the exact moment that it happened. Like, in a lot of, previous series and whatnot, as opposed to just standing there and just, not even inspecting it to see if there's a body behind so you can bury it or anything like that. They just, up and leave. And it turns out she was probably not in that thing the entire time.
I don't know. It's like,
so,
given all of the writing changes that happened in this series anyway,
it just didn't make sense.
I wonder if, at the time that episode aired, she really was supposed to be dead, and then later.
Yeah, they recanted it.
They recanted because it took a good 10 episodes between her dying, supposedly, and then showing up in the care of Sayla.
Seems like a Band-Aid.
They could have pulled an Andy Waltfeld there.
Man, you had to bring up the Desert Tiger. DT, awesome.
I did like the Gundam team though. I liked I like Beach.
All the characters were likable.
Oh, the thing about Judo and his skills as a pilot, the other thing that Judo had in his favor, well, not really in far as being a good pilot, was if you look, a lot of the people that he fought on the Neo Zeon side were a bunch of chumps and idiots. They were just a bunch of
they had
green newbies. I mean, you had a few veterans there, like Rakan Dakaran and all these people, but you compare it to the Titans, which had a lot of experienced pilots, and Camille became a better pilot because he had to fight good people.
Mm-hmm.
When you are fighting people with a really strong mobile suit like the Double Zeta and of all of its weapons like that head cannon and the double beam rifle and all those spammy things, and then you're fighting really weak opponents, it doesn't make you a better pilot.
Yep.
And even the enemy aces, like, say, at the beginning, Mashima, he sucked until he came back later as a cyber new type.
Yeah.
And then he was kicking ass until he exploded himself, literally. He exploded his cosmos.
He went Super Saiyan too much. He went Super Saiyan 5.
Super Saiyan 5, he pulled the Vegeta.
You can't do that.
Like Saint Seiya. Literally.
Yeah.
So, that's the thing about Judo. He fought a lot of crappy opponents. It's not until, like, when he got to Earth and he was fighting all those down and dirty desert rebels and old Zeon standbys who were still hiding out in the desert that he fought some really experienced guys who, if you notice there, those guys put up some pretty damn good fights with crappy Zakus and things up against the latest technology.
That's why I love that short story, because it's a bit of the old school thrown in, and these new school characters are thrown into the situation and they're pushed to the brink.
Yeah, it was that old thing of you're getting away with having the biggest and the best equipment, but if you're lacking in training, then I can go against you with substandard equipment and give you problems and maybe defeat you.
On top of that, I feel that the Neo Zeon of this series were lacking the menace of the original Zeon and even the Titans. It just didn't seem as intimidating. They seemed kind of hippie compared to the previous antagonists of the other two series. I liked them, but they just seemed a little off the wall and just not nearly as threatening.
Well, like I said, they had a lot of newbies as pilots, which was even acknowledged in Zeta Gundam. When Char was trying to kill Haman on her ship, and she says like, oh, he knew that he took advantage of the fact that we have a bunch of inexperienced soldiers.
Very true.
Yeah. But then in Double Zeta, they were just like
retarded
freaking idiots. Yeah, like retarded. Like, I just don't even know what the hell happened.
That whole thing at the beginning when those guys get killed. Remember when Mashima has the ceremony for those guys that got
with a chicken bone?
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Oh. But then now I lost my train of thought again. Crap.
Sorry. This show will do it to you.
I guess so. I was about to say I was actually going to say something that I do like that the show does, and now I completely forgot. I do like how we get to see Haman as a schemer again, and how she basically, is threatening the Federation with a colony drop, and in exchange for Side 3. But it also shows sort of the degeneration and the depravity of the Federation, because, they literally are a bunch of fat cats, and they don't really give a crap about the people of Earth. And they're like, hey, if she drops a colony, it's some population control for us, so go ahead.
Yeah.
It really sort of makes the case for what Char is fighting against later on in Char's counterattack, because it just goes to show that the Earth Federation, even with the Titans gone, they still don't give a crap about anybody but themselves and their own power.
Yeah, that's true.
That's how corrupt they are.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So that series really highlights it more than anything else.
Speaking of Char, his absence along with Amuro kind of makes it feel kind of separate from all the other series because they weren't really directly involved.
Oh, he's not absent, isn't he? In one of the beginnings.
Where he's like screaming silently, and then there's
during the evolution from like apes to Amuro to Camille to Judo.
Yeah.
That his little cameo as a ghost in the freaking elevator when Haman sees him for a second, like a visage.
Oh, yeah.
Of him. That's the only time you see his. I was about to curse him in the show.
Well, he also narrated the Mobile Suits quiz in the first episode.
Yeah.
Awesome.
With Shinta and Kum.
That's all Ikeda could do. Terrible.
Man.
Speaking of absences, it was good to see Camille again and to see him later on when he appears in Dublin recover and sort of discover new powers, maybe as a result of what Sirocco did to him. But it would have been good to see him have a slightly larger role. I mean, they tried, they brought him to the ship and they tried to get him into the and fly around, but it's like, if it would have been nice to have even just a 30-second scene of like he walks up to the Zeta Gundam and sort of like maybe has a flashback and recalls everything that happened to him.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
alas.
How about that Fa though, man? She became badass in this series.
No.
Fa? Oh, come on. She wasn't useless like she was in Zeta.
Oh, come on.
Yeah.
She.
Hey, I'm just saying she was holding her own in Double Zeta. You got to admit that. To at least a little bit.
Are you kidding me?
Oh, she was.
She got beaten up by the trash man, and Judo had to take over. How is that holding your own?
Yeah, she did get.
Dude, in the last episode of Zeta, she's like 3 or 4 guys, and then suddenly, she gets beaten up by a trash man. How is she holding her own, dude? What are you been smoking?
Outside of the suit, she was all right. She was she was running and gunning. And
oh no! Now you're changed. Now
I'm sorry. I take that back. I retract my statement. But I mean, she had a lot more confidence, and she didn't seem like the damsel in distress like she seemed in Zeta. She seemed like so she was taking care of Camille.
Well, suddenly because she sort of became the senpai because it's like everybody was dead, so she suddenly is one of the oldest people on the ship.
Yeah.
Very true.
Everyone's dead. Her boyfriend's brain fried, and Bright's got a chicken on his head.
And yet those 2 annoying kids are still hanging around.
Oh.
Poor Fa.
How did that happen?
Stuck with those 3.
At least they left.
Yeah,
so.
I know. I'm glad they got rid of them. That was because as you're watching that show, you're thinking that they're just gonna kind of stay there forever. And it's like, but yeah, I'd have to say, I mean, it was a good show. I definitely think people should watch it. It's not the horrendous pile of garbage that people make it out to be. I don't think it's unbearable. I mean, I've seen worse. I've seen worse shows.
My last thing is, what do you guys think of Bright in the show?
Poor Bright.
Yeah.
For getting embarrassed like with the chickens, but you sort of see throughout this show that you kind of get the impression that he's just really tired.
Yeah, that's what I was good.
After everything that happened in Zeta, because he eventually just gives up on Judo. He doesn't try to like correct him and give him bright slaps. Yeah. He just gives up on this kid because he's already gone through this whole crap with Amuro, and then he went through it all again with Camille and Katz, and it's like this guy's tired of being like the mobile suit daddy to a bunch of like little whiny bitches.
Looks like he went home to be a daddy.
He just wanted to go home.
So he just gave up to the point where he's like, yeah, you guys want to steal that new Argama? Go ahead. I don't care. Go do whatever you want to do. I'm tired. I'm going home.
It kind of makes me wish that they did a new translation for Double Zeta with a completely different story, but brought back the characters and kind of made it like
How can they do that? Xeon went to Jupiter.
They could have rewrote that ending so they could have led into that. I was hoping that they would do that.
Yeah, Xeon decided to run away and Camille didn't get brain fried. So.
But I mean they could have kept it real and then transitioned to a new translation for Double Zeta and had a chance to retell that story the right way and make that,
I have a feeling though. I got a feeling Sunrise just tries to forget about that series. I think it's because it's just because of all the revisions and everything. And I mean the way that Chris pointed that out with some of these, why something would happen here and then 10 episodes later it was different. Yeah. Thinking back now, that does kind of make sense because you got to remember we're watching it, 20 years later, and we aren't watching it when they were doing it. And how many times have you seen shows that you enjoy where they sit there and they do something and then 10 episodes later it's like, whoa, that person was going to die. No, I'm back. It's kind of like the it's kind of like the soap opera thing, or where he's got a twin. But with an eye patch.
Or that joke they make at the end of Nadesco where
yeah.
that dude was his Joe gets killed off like early on in Gekiganger and then shows up for no reason in the final episode of the show. It's like, what the?
Yeah, the reason why he never watched the last episode because he knew it was gonna suck.
But he had such a great death in that cockpit, and he's like,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Miss Nanako, I won't be able to go to the beach with you. And then the fat guy's like, Joe!
Will Gekiganger be able to
Carry on?
survive the loss of Joe?
Anyway,
Check out next episode.
back to Double Zeta.
But
Awesome.
the only other thing I'd have to say is I like it when Judo beat up Wong Li.
Thank y'all.
I did like that. Finally, Wong Li walked in and he had to deal with a street kid, not some emo kid that was mad because he didn't win the Homo Alvis championship.
Judo could throw some dukes.
Yeah. He thought he could he thought he could beat him up like he did Camille. Judo was like, "No, sir."
Didn't put up with that mess at all.
But yeah, but I would encourage all those out there to watch it. Like I said, there's worse out there.
This is the first series that we're talking about that's not available in the United States out of for the Gundam Spotlight. So you have to this one you're gonna have to find in your
X
own.
isn't available either, and that's more better.
No,
than
what
this
I'm just
one.
talking about so far for the spotlights we've done for Gundam so far for the Roundup.
So.
Sadly, but if it ever comes out here, I'll be the first to buy it. So Bandai, get on it. Even if it's just subtitled, no audio track, we'll buy it up.
just have this known that
Well, I would hope some audio track. I don't want subtitles and no audio.
Oh, sorry, sorry, Japanese audio track. I take that back.
I don't want silence and subtitles.
We just dub it ourselves.
Well, maybe the silence would be better for the first like 20 episodes, but but overall, for all the knocks I'm giving it is a pretty good series. I wish that the beginning and the end had been as consistently good as the middle. If the whole series had been like the middle, it probably would be one of my favorite series.
And that's a rarity.
It'd probably rival Zeta.
It would probably be just as good as Zeta.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's a rarity for most shows where the beginning and end are awesome and the middle is the one that sucks. This is the complete opposite of that.
Yeah.
Which is odd, but cool.
It is very odd. And, like I said, there's nothing wrong with, having a lighthearted show. I mean, it works perfectly in Dragon Game and even in Gundam X and all these other types of shows, but it just didn't follow after the tone that was set in the original series in Zeta to suddenly be like, oh, hey, all slapstick, and then suddenly back in, and then next thing in Charge Counterattack, it's back to the way it was before. So it just kind of doesn't fit properly. And also, as far as the characters go, Judo became more likable over time, but bunch of these other clowns, they just didn't really do much for me. Like, you had that whole thing at the beginning for like 10 episodes of Mondo and Bicha constantly betraying Judo and joining with the Neo Zeon, and then they just come back and it's okay. It's like
an episode of Seinfeld where George quits and then comes back the next day like nothing happened.
Yeah, it's like, what the hell? It's like, you guys betrayed us and you were with the Neo Zeon and then you just slip on back in and it's like,
what's up, dude? What's up?
It is.
I don't understand what the whole point of that. And then they tried to get Judo killed when he went after Axe. It's like, what are you?
He's your friend.
And then, they became more likable later on, but for that first half, it's like, what is with these clowns? So the characters could have used some more traits to have them stand out and differentiate them, be a little bit less annoying. For a lot of the show, Lou, she was just really annoying, especially when she ran off in the desert. So if they differentiated the characters more and made them a bit more appealing and then just had the whole show be like the middle, it probably would have been one of the best Gundam shows, but alas.
Could have been, should have been.
Still a pretty good show, but it doesn't live up to its potential that it did have.
Well, all I could say is I pretty much agree with you. I think it was a fun romp, but for the most part, I still think everybody should see it. I just think that they could have done so much more, and I wish they did a remix of it where it was the show. It could have become the show that it had the chance to become. Well. They learned the lessons from that. At least I hope so.
Well, they did give us Destiny. Sorry. But yeah, I just, on my closing thought, I'd be the same way. Just, go out and see it. I know, it is it can be a massive letdown from Zeta, but for the most part, it is a pretty good show, and it is entertaining, especially that middle part. So, any way that you're able to view it, definitely check it out.
All right, well, that wraps up another installment of Gundam Round-up, and of course, in the next episode, we'll be back with Char's Counterattack, and we'll be back in a moment with a wrap-up of Gundam at MAHQ.
I'll be damned if I'm gonna clean up this mess!
Next on Gundam.
Char's Counterattack is also responsible for one of the coolest scenes ever. Bright coming out of the bottom up through the bridge, from the sub-bridge to the main bridge. That was the coolest thing ever in that chair.
Complete with styrofoam cup.
Gundam. Next episode, who will survive?
Bring us Gundam pancakes!
Now with more class than Harvard, you're listening to Gundam at MAHQ. And we out. We'll see y'all in the next 2 weeks. And thanks for listening.
Later.
Later.
This is a world where people's hearts are filled with hatred, where fingers have no purpose other than to pull triggers. Ugh. What do you believe in? And why do you?
Gundam.
But MAHQ is a
Shinjuku Station.
an MAHQ production.
You will see the tears of time.
Hey, it's Sober You again, and just finally getting into what happened with episode 14. Basically, originally I was transferring some files over from one computer to the next, the one I do the heavy editing on for the episode, and something went wrong. And with the remainder of the files that we had did on the redo of 14, originally I thought they were lost. I thought I had deleted them. I found them on the other computer, but what happened was it kind of ghosted themselves. I don't know what happened. I do recall that the power might have gone out during that time, and when they were going through the router is when things might have got botched, but I take full responsibility. First of all, I should have never cut it and pasted when I should have copied and pasted. That's elementary. I was running out of hard drive space, and I finally freed some up on the computer I do the main editing on. I thought I could take a shortcut to everything by cutting and pasting as opposed to copying and pasting, and that's kind of where the problem started. Of course, Chris and Neo both know, and I gave them the heads up. And yet again, we'll probably have to do the Gundam 00 segment one last time. For that, I'm really sorry, because that has been long overdue. So in honor of the dearly departed 14, I'm going to leave the number 14 completely open so that we can go back and do it and put it up at a later date. You'll probably get episode 16, which is currently already fully recorded. So we're working on editing that now, and we'll have 16 up shortly. I'm going to aim for the next 2 weeks, because this episode took way too long after me fighting to try to recover 14. It kind of delayed things, and should have just accepted the inevitable and put 15 out. But I'm really sorry about this. If for any input, though, feel free to send us an email to GundamMAHQ@gmail.com. You can also hit the boards at mechatalk.net. Of course, always check out the main site for Gundam, which is mahq.net. And last but not least, please cash your digital stones at me personally at sbrmahq@gmail.com. Really sorry about this, but don't worry. We'll definitely get the 00 segment in the can, and also get last but not least the Gunpla segments too. On top of that, we did a really cool segment on Iron Man, and that's my biggest regret that we lost that. But we at least I lost Neo and our part. Chris's part is still intact, so maybe I can get some good drops out of that, or just piece together something in regards to that, because he had a lot of witty things to say during that segment, and I actually still have that. So we'll figure it out. But in the meantime, thank you so much for listening and putting up with me, and we'll definitely come back to do this again next time in episode 16 of Gundam at MAHQ.